HTS presents Major League Baseball this afternoon from Oriole Park at Camden Yards. It's the Orioles and the Seattle Mariners. HTS coverage of Orioles baseball is brought to you by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold. By your local Toyota dealer, where you'll find great values like the all-new Toyota Corolla. By Safeway, nobody does it better. By Jeep and Eagle, see your local Jeep and Eagle dealer where you can expect the best. By Diet Pepsi with 100%, you got the right one, baby. By Subaru, test drive the all-new Subaru Impreza. By your local Sherwin-Williams paint stores, a participating sponsor of Major League Baseball. The pros know, ask Sherwin-Williams. And by Bell Atlantic Mobile, advanced technology and people who make it mean something. We have a picture-perfect afternoon, a great pitching matchup, a sellout crowd as the Orioles go for a sweep against the Seattle Mariners. Hello, everybody. I'm Mel Proctor along with John Lowenstein. You couldn't ask for a better afternoon or for a better matchup. Mike Messina, who is 7-2, the ace of the Orioles staff, against Chris Bosio, the ex-Milwaukee Brewer, who went 16-6 last year. He's already thrown a no-hitter this year against the Red Sox.
I'm telling you what, he can match Messina pitch for pitch. I look at this afternoon's game and I see a toss-up in the works. I wouldn't have said that in the first two nights here of this series where I thought Seattle should have been favored just simply because of the opponent's pitching, but this afternoon, even with Messina on the mound, I think Bosio is a light competitor on the mound, and as well as Messina can pitch, Bosio can pitch just as well.
Now, the long ball returned last night with Leo Gomez hitting a 2-run homer, Mike Devereaux a 3-run homer, with Cal Ripken struggling this year with Glenn Davis now in the minor leagues. It looks like Devereaux is going to have to be the guy to step forward and drive in 100 runs again.
He can drive in that many runs again this year because he's situated in the right part of that lineup, but he's going to have some help around him. I'm more interested in seeing how Baines performs from the left side because I think he's the critical factor in this lineup. Devereaux is going to get his hits, and he's hitting strongly right now, and he's going to hit probably right around 20 home runs, but he's going to have that backup support, and so is his pitching staff, and it's going to have to come from the likes of Ripken and Baines, not only Mike Devereaux.
All right, John, we'll be back with the Safeway starting lineups for today's game in just a moment.
Hey, Orioles fans, you can get your very own Orioles HTS Squeeze Bottle courtesy of Track Auto. This 32-ounce Orioles HTS Squeeze Bottle is your gift when you buy a case of Castrol Motor Oil. Just look for this display at all Track Auto or Super Track locations from June 13th through June 19th. Offer good while supplies last. So hurry down to your nearest Track Auto or Super Track today and pick up a case of Castrol Motor Oil.
The Safeway starting lineups for today's game. First for Seattle, Omar Vizquel, the shortstop, will lead off. Mike Felder in center field today. Ken Griffey Jr. becomes the designated hitter. Edgar Martinez will play third base. Tino Martinez will bat fifth and play first. Jay Buhner is in right field. Mackie Sasser will play left field today for the Mariners. Bill Hasselman is behind the plate batting eighth, and Rich Amaral at second base hitting ninth. And pitching for the Mariners, the rotund right-hander, Chris Bosio.
Oh, Mel, with Randy Johnson and Eric Hansen and Chris Bosio, the Mariners have what many consider to be the best threesome of any staff in the American League, and Bosio may very well be more quality of the three. He was healthy last year for 33 starts and posted a 16-16 record, and the Mariners expect more of the same from him this season, and Bosio figures to deliver at 2-2 with a 2.5 earned run average in 6 starts. He needs only to stay well to be a huge boost to this club.
And the batting order this afternoon for the Orioles against Chris Bosio. Brady Anderson leading off, playing left field. Mark McLemore in right. Cal Ripken batting third. Harold Baines is the DH. Mike Devereaux with a 3-run homer last night again in center. Leo Gomez, who also connected, is at third base. Paul Carey, the rookie up from Rochester, gets a start at first. Harold Reynolds at second base, and Jeff Tackett will get a rare start. He is catching and batting ninth. And pitching for the Orioles, Mike Messina.
Well, he is the stopper extraordinaire, even though he's pitching this afternoon after a couple of dramatic victories by his ball club. But whenever the Orioles needed him, he's been on call, and he's delivered big time. And he can flat out throw that apple.
Omar Vizquel fouls off his first delivery. The umpires today, Durwood Merrill is behind the plate. John Hirschbeck at first. Gary Cedarstrom at second. Tim Welke working at third. Knuckle curve is low to Vizquel. Vizquel has been a better hitter from the left side, so if the Mariners are facing a right-handed pitcher, he leads off. If they're facing a left-hander, he will drop down to the number 9 spot in the order.
Yeah, he's been in every game.
Good heater by Messina, and it's 1-2. This is only Messina's second career start against the Mariners. He won here last May. Foul ball. But he's on a roll right now. He's 7-1 in his last 9 starts, 14-2 in his last 20 starts, and 27-8 in his last 48 starts.
He's been the heart and soul of this Orioles rotation. And even when he's not been at his best, he can nail the opposition to the carpet.
Changeup, got him. Vizquel strikes out.
As you look at Messina out there, Mel, he is focused, he's determined, and he has the inventory to back up his intentions on the mound. That's a way to start off the game right there. And you're looking at a leadoff man with an on-base percentage around .350. Can do no more than just lunge at that pitch.
1 down, and here's Mike Felder, who's playing center field. Ken Griffey Jr., normally in center, becomes a designated hitter, but you know they'll keep Griffey's bat in the lineup. He's gone wild in this series. 6 for 8 with a couple of home runs, but he's DHing today with Felder playing center. Felder is very versatile. Not only can he play the outfield, but also second base and third base. He's a switch hitter. Bright, sunshiny afternoon, a few scattered clouds. The sun could present some problems for the outfielders. We've got a pretty good wind blowing from left to right. Knuckle curve is inside. It's 1-1. The wind should aid the left-handed hitters.
Well, I would think so, especially after last night. Another starched flag out there this afternoon.
Changeup by Messina, and it's 1-2. He's got all the pitches. Got the perfect temperament. In fact, it's very hard to find fault with him. His mechanics are good. Good stuff. Looking at pretty close to the perfect pitcher. The only thing he lacks is the fact that he hasn't done it for many years, but that'll come. He's only 24. But when he does have a bad outing, and they are extremely rare, you're almost shocked. He's been so remarkably consistent. He's pitched into the 7th inning or later 47 times in his career. That's in 55 games.
Well, if this Bosio and Messina matchup today doesn't produce a pitching duel of large proportion, I'd be surprised.
Breaking ball off the plate, and it's 2-2 to Felder. Felder first came up with Milwaukee, played the last couple of years with the Giants. Now back in the American League. 3-2. Both these pitchers are very stingy with the walks. Messina has walked 2 or less 44 times. Bosio averaged less than 2 walks per 9 innings last year. Felder pops it up. Cal Ripken racing out in shallow center field. Devereaux calls him off and makes the catch. The top of the first inning. That'll bring up Ken Griffey Jr., who's put on quite a show in this series. He had 4 hits last night, including a tremendous home run off Brad Pennington, a left-hander. He connected leading off the 9th. His 12th homer of the season and his 2nd in the series. He hit one 2 nights ago off Rick Sutcliffe.
I tell you, you think you're looking at Ted Williams the way he handles that bat, regardless of who's on the mound.
Fastball is in for a strike. Not only does Mike Messina throw hard, better than 90 miles an hour, but he has impeccable control. He's able to work the corners, stay out of the middle of the plate. And he jumps ahead in the count 0-2 with 2 good fastballs to Ken Griffey Jr. Now is where you're in trouble. If you're behind 0-2 in the count to Messina, you might get a fastball. You could get a knuckle curve. You might get a changeup. Try to get him to chase a fastball high and away, and it's 1-2. Off-speed pitch. A good beginning for Mike Messina as he retires the side in order with 2 strikeouts. Mike Felder in center field and Jay Buhner in right. And the starting pitcher today for the Mariners, the former Milwaukee Brewer, Chris Bosio, who signed a 4-year contract with Seattle. He's making his 7th start and his 2nd since coming off the disabled list. He suffered a broken left collarbone in a collision with the Indians' Jeff Treadway on April the 27th. And since coming off the DL, he made 1 appearance in relief and then a start. His last time out against Milwaukee, his former team, he lost 10-0.
Well, as we mentioned in the opening, now the way that Bosio is capable of pitching this game today is a toss-up. The opposition's batting less than 200 off him, and he has yet to allow a home run. Excellent control and pitches with great economy on the mound, and really fashioned a 2.5 earned run average on a brilliant hits-to-innings pitch ratio of 29 per 42 innings.
Today's contestant in the Desenex Itching to Steal Stolen Base contest is Scott Desmond of Charlottesville, Virginia. If the Orioles steal any bases today, Scott will win $100. In addition, Scott is now entered into the grand prize drawing for a weekend at spring training and will receive 2 tickets to a future Orioles home game. Freddie Anderson bounces it to the first baseman Tino Martinez, quickly 1 down. By the way, in the Desenex Itching to Steal contest, you can pick up your entry form at any Giant.
Very good.
Bosio is a pitcher who normally doesn't throw many pitches. If he's on his game, he throws a lot of strikes. In his no-hitter this year against the Red Sox, he threw only 97 pitches, 60 of them for strikes. Strike 1 to Mark McLemore.
Well, that's just it. I mean, he gets the strikeout when he needs it, and he keeps the defense on their toes by employing a fast-working style out there on the mound.
A little high, and it's 1-1. Bosio with the Brewers last year was 16-6. He averaged slightly over 3 pitches per batter last year. It was the 3rd least in the American League.
Well, that certainly is economizing. He leans heavily on his slider, and he's going to use it as often as his fastball if necessary.
3-1 to McLemore. If either of these teams get somebody on base who can run, I think you're going to see them try to make things happen, because I'm sure both managers are aware that these are 2 good pitchers and runs should be hard to come by today.
Both managers, both teams going to be itching to steal.
Changeup, and it's 3-2 to McLemore.
This hitter's going to get used to that this afternoon.
Mike Ferraro coaching at third for the Orioles. Davey Lopes at first base. Foul tip is held by the catcher Hasselman, and McLemore is down on strikes. Just glanced off his bat.
He threw that in the same place he threw that 3-1 pitch. And you got that just slight commitment from the hitter right here to tick it. Got a little sinker working this afternoon too. That'll benefit him.
2 down. Here's Cal Ripken, who has 1 hit in the series. Came up a couple of times last night with men on base and could not deliver. He takes a strike.
Got lucky, an old pop-up that got caught in the wind in that big 3-run inning they had.
It was in the 8th inning. He popped the ball up. It looked like it was headed for left center field. It wound up behind second base as the wind got a hold of it. Breaking ball is in for a strike, and that was a key hit because 2 batters later, Mike Devereaux came up and hit a 3-run homer. Musselman, the catcher, tried to frame that one up, but Durwood Merrill wasn't buying it, and it's 1-2.
He shouldn't have had to even framed it. It was right down the middle of the plate. Look how tall Cal is, and watch where this ball is. It's right down the middle, belt high. That long stride fooled the umpire.
Slider, did he go around? Yes, strike 3, and a good first inning for Bosio, and it looks like both these pitchers have good stuff. This should be a dandy. Orioles ace Mike Messina going this afternoon. He's tied for second in the league in wins and is in the top 5 in almost every pitching category. Tom Davis asked pitching coach Dick Bosman before the game, is Mike the best pitcher in the American League?
Well, from what I've seen so far, I can't disagree. His stuff is getting a little bit better every time out. His concentration, his knowledge of how to set up hitters and all that continues to get better. And he's real consistent. Obviously, that's the sign of a real good pitcher. Greatness, I guess you might go along with that if it's done over a period of years. And right now he's as good as I've seen.
Seems like this is the ideal situation, having him come up in the rotation after 2 straight wins over the opposing team.
Well, you put yourself in a position to put together a winning streak. You get a chance to get some momentum going. There's a lot of confidence, of course, when he goes out there and pitches.
And Messina has retired the first 4 hitters, getting Edgar Martinez on a fly ball to right, and that'll bring up Tino Martinez, the Mariners' first baseman, who's gone 2 for 6 in the series. Curve is inside.
Yeah, what Bosman was referring to was Messina's hard-driven style on the mound. And when you've got the supermarket of pitches he has, I mean, you love to take the mound. Any pitcher would love to have that inventory.
This is Messina's 56th Major League start, and he's trying to win his 30th game. Only one pitcher in club history has reached 30 wins and fewer starts. Mike Boddicker won his 30th in his 53rd start in 1984. A soft liner into left field. The Mariners have their first hit.
Well, that's what you've got to do against him. If you try to match him power for power and try to pull some of his pitches, as good a location as he has, as Mel mentioned, then you're in trouble.
With a win today, Mike Messina would improve his record to 30-12 lifetime. No Oriole in history has won 30 of his first 42 decisions. So he is trying to take his place among the greats. And there have been many over the years. The Orioles known for their rich pitching history. Mentioned Mike Boddicker. Jim Palmer won his 30th game in his 60th start in 1969. Here's the power-hitting right fielder, Jay Buhner. Tino Martinez at first. 1 out, no score. Buhner pops it foul. Another big crowd in attendance today. Another sellout. Last night, 46,559 turned out, the second largest crowd of the season. The Orioles have sold out 18 of their 24 home dates this year.
Well, if you've been in the ballpark or watched the game on HTS, you've seen some great baseball the past couple of nights.
The Orioles won the first game 6-5 in 10 innings on Jack Voigt's base hit. Line drive to center field, and Tino Martinez moves to second, so the Mariners have 2 men on with 1 out. Messina breezed through the first inning, but has given up a couple of hits.
Buhner was all over that little cut fastball or slider, whatever it was, and didn't try to pull it either. Went right with it, right up the middle of the diamond.
That brings up Mackie Sasser, the former New York Met, who's been a catcher most of his career, but he's playing left field today. Sasser last year with the Mets hit .241.
Well, when you can catch and play another position, you are invaluable to the team.
Grounded foul. Sasser, you might recall, was the catcher who had the problems. The yips, unable to throw the ball back to the pitcher, kind of a mental block. He would double clutch and pump and couldn't get rid of the ball.
It's a terrible feeling. Ray Fosse explored that little area for many, many years when he was with Cleveland and also with Oakland. master of the quadruple clutch.
Ground ball to Harold Reynolds to Cal Ripken on to first, double play. And Messina gets out of the inning, inducing Mackey Sasser to ground into an inning-ending double play.
This baby is going to have a very momentous year. A year of first smiles, first steps, first discoveries. And none of these first moments will ever happen again. Now, if you were this baby's parents, which film would you choose? Aren't all your moments worth Kodak film?
Welcome back to the Cannon Behind the Scenes, and with the Washington, what is it this week? The Times?
Yes, this week.
Mo Siegel. Mo, you think when they build a new football stadium in Washington, it'll have the same impact that this ballpark's had in Baltimore with the fans?
It doesn't have to have. They're sold out already.
Well, I'm talking about tourist attraction and things like that.
I don't think so. No, because it won't be that much difference. They call it a state-of-the-art stadium. What can you do? I think the big attraction, this stadium is overrated in my estimation to an extent. Without the wall there in right field, it's just another ballpark. But that's like a guy coming back from Switzerland. Guy said, where you been? He said, been on vacation. He said, where'd you go? He said, I went to Switzerland. He said, how's Switzerland? He says, take away the mountains, what do you got? It's the same thing with the wall out here. But this is a beautiful ballpark. But I have a question for you, Tom. You're out here every night. They play at home. What do you think's a big attraction here, the ball club or the stadium?
I think the ballpark for now. I mean, why are you asking me these questions? I'm supposed to be asking you the questions.
Because you don't ask interesting questions.
I knew I'd get some heat from Mo Siegel. That is the Cannon Behind the Scenes, our good friend Mo Siegel from the Washington Times. Let's go back.
Through?
Yeah, that was short and brief. I told you it would be.
Boy, I'd rather be with you than Jay Leno.
Back upstairs to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein. The one and only Mo Siegel, a legend.
I guess when he's talking about the wall here, he meant the B&O warehouse.
Harold Baines leading off the second inning against Chris Bosio. Ball one to Baines, who's hit Bosio well in the past. He has a .333 lifetime average against him, 13 hits and 39 at-bats with 2 home runs. Speaking of home runs, Baines is still looking for his first of the season. This is the longest he's ever gone without hitting a home run. Slow roller up the first baseline. Bosio picks it up and throws him out.
And actually, the Orioles thought that Baines was going to be a major contributor along those very lines. But after you get that, it takes you a while to get that first one. Once you get that first one, maybe he'll start rolling.
He's hit for a high average, but no power.
But you don't figure it's going to come this afternoon against Bosio.
Chris Bosio has not allowed a home run in 41 2/3 innings. He's been very stingy with the hits, period. Only 29 hits. Here's Mike Devereaux, who has 4 hits in this series, including a 3-run homer last night. And he takes a pitch low. Devereaux came up in the 8th inning with 2 men on, facing Eric Hansen, who hung a breaking ball, and he hit it over the left field wall. 2-0.
Devereaux is situated right in that lineup in the number 5 spot. If you're in a situation where you're going to score runs, you figure 2 of the first 4 guys are going to get on base.
Devereaux bounces one to the shortstop, Omar Vizquel. 2 down. Vizquel has developed into one of the league's better shortstops. In fact, leading the league shortstops in fielding.
He's heavily counted upon. He's not missed a game this year.
Here's Leo Gomez, who was on base 3 times last night. He walked twice and hit a 2-run homer in the 7th inning to tie the score 2-all. A tremendous shot to right center field.
He very rarely fields for the ball, and that's why he's such a good long ball hitter.
Slider is low on the appeal. The first base umpire, John Hirschbeck, says no swing, and it's 1-0. Gomez is 1 for 6 against Chris Bosio. Check his swing, but went around. It's tough to lay off that slider because you think it's a fastball, and then it dips downward.
Well, he takes just enough off the pitch, too, to entice a swing like that. Most pitchers throw that slider about as hard as they throw that fastball.
One and two. Bosio is 30 years of age. He's from Sacramento, California. He was once asked what would he do if he wasn't a Major League Baseball player. He said he'd be a driver of a beer truck in Sacramento. He thought that would be a fun way to make a living.
Well, maybe it is after work.
Grounded foul. Driving a beer truck in Sacramento, though, doesn't pay the $2,750,000 that he's making a year.
Nope, not unless you own several of those beer trucks and the beer.
Unless you own the distributorship. 2-2 to Gomez. 2 outs, nobody on in the second. The Orioles and the Mariners are scoreless so far. Just missed. 3-2. Gomez has seen a steady assortment of breaking stuff in this at bat.
Yeah, ordinarily he doesn't play around with hitters quite this much.
Rookie Paul Carey is on deck. Strike 3. So a perfect 2 innings for Chris Bosio. He and Mike Messina hooked up in a pitcher's duel early, and we have no score.
Experience the pride. For more than 8.
The Miller Lite HTS and WJFK Orioles ticket search is back. Winning coupons for a pair of Orioles Blue Jays tickets are hiding in random 12 packs of Miller Lite, or enter a random drawing for tickets by sending a postcard to the address on your screen. For the Mariners in the third, Bill Hasselman, Rich Amaral, and Omar Vizquel to face Mike Messina, who was touched for a couple of hits in the second inning but got a double play ball to get out of the trouble. A windy afternoon at Oriole Park at Camden Yards as Hasselman tries to bunt his way on, lines it hard to Leo Gomez, who throws him out.
Well, you called it earlier, Mel. Both of these clubs are going to be trying anything they can to get runners on base this afternoon, because we may be witnessing the best pitching matchup of the year that we've had on here at HTS. I mean, both Bosio and Messina capable of completely shutting down the other club.
Oh, 1 down. That brings up the second baseman, Rich Amaral, who had 2 hits last night. The 31-year-old rookie leading all rookies in hitting, batting .317. Strike 1.
It says a lot about your character if you're willing to spend all those years in the minor leagues and then finally get your shot to play in the big leagues and then come through and produce as Rich Amaral has.
0-2 the count to Amaral, who was originally drafted on the second round by the Cubs in 1983. Then the White Sox drafted him in the Rule 5 draft in 1988. The Mariners signed him as a free agent 3 years ago. He's been at AAA the last 2 years. Knuckle curve is low, and it's 1-2 to Amaral. The Mariners thought so highly of Brett Boone as their second baseman of the future that they were willing to let Harold Reynolds go. Boone didn't pan out, was sent back to the minor leagues. Amaral got an opportunity, made the most of it, and now reportedly Boone is on the trading block.
Just a simple line drive hitter with not much power, but when he comes to the park, he comes to the park to play, and his wealth of knowledge of the game, I'm sure, was built on his many years in the minor leagues.
You see players like Amaral, and Jack Voigt is not as old as Amaral at 31, but a guy who spent quite a few years in the minor leagues. They seem to be more fundamentally sound than the young players who are rushed to the big leagues. They know how to execute, how to bunt, how to play hit and run, how to run the bases, how to slide, how to position themselves. All of the things that you learn just by playing the game for many years. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Amaral. No score. We're in the third inning. Buhner. Shot for the Jay Buhner fan club. They called and said, could you please give us a shot of Jay Buhner? Amaral strikes out. He's glad to accommodate.
A lot of these players got their summer haircuts already that we haven't seen the summer weather here for the most part. All this afternoon's a gorgeous day. Another changeup right here. Tremendous deception on Messina's part. Arm speed of a fastball, but the ball didn't get there.
We go to the top of the order for Omar Vizquel, who struck out on a changeup his first time up. Tried to check his swing, but it went around.
He's gotten away from that bad habit he had a couple of years ago of over-swinging up there, trying to hit the ball in the air too far.
He lifts one over Cal Ripken's head for a base hit.
That's his game right now, and he's doing it well. You can play shortstop in the big leagues a long time. You hit between 270 and 280.
Last year he hit 294, a career high. That's the third Mariner hit as Vizquel singles with 2 outs, and it brings up Mike Felder, who flied to center his first time up. Felder, a contact hitter. He doesn't hit the long ball very often. He's also an excellent bunter. Strike one.
It's good to have a switch hitter with base stealing speed in that number 2 position. And as he increases his on base percentage, his game is elevated a notch too. What the Mariners like about him is he doesn't hit for the home run very often, but he doesn't feel for the ball. He usually swings with a healthy cut.
Fastball is high, and it's 1-1. Doesn't appear that Durwood Merrill is going to give either of these pitchers the high strike.
No, he's completely forgotten about anything above the belt, which is too bad.
I would think if you're a pitcher, it's difficult to get a reading on the way the umpires are working this year. Some umpires have definitely expanded their strike zones. Others have not. I think you're seeing more low strikes called by some umpires, but there doesn't seem to be much change in the belt high pitch. Anything above the belt is still a ball, when technically it should be a strike. Fisted foul out of play, and it's 1-2 to Felder.
A lot of hitters duck balls, especially breaking balls, when they come in over the plate, and the umpires have a very difficult time with that particular pitch anyway.
Technically, the strike zone should be from the armpits to the knees, but realistically, it isn't.
And it's probably a good thing it isn't this afternoon with these two guys going.
Realistically, the strike zone is from the lower part of the belt to the knees. Foul back to the screen, and the count holding it 1-2 to Mike Felder. Messina's allowed no runs on 3 hits, walked none, struck out 3. Sam Perlazo is the third base coach. Sam Mejias at first. A pitch out, but Vizquel is not running.
Well, the timing was perfect. I mean, you would have expected the ball club to be running in that position right there, and they didn't.
Vizquel has good speed. He's stolen 6, but his percentage is not good. He's been caught 5 times.
Now, that's a lousy ratio. Usually when you got some of the ratio like that on base, then you have to anticipate that the strike's going to be thrown to give him a little help, a little advantage when he's running.
Last year he stole 15 bases. Felder's hanging tough.
The way this lineup is situated with Griffey and the two Martinez boys hitting in the 4th and 5th position, and Vizquel and Felder in the number 1 and 2 holes, this can be a high run-scoring ball club. But the number 1 and 2 hitters will dictate how often this ball club scores. Just like the Orioles last year with Anderson and Devereaux.
Breaking ball is low, and Messina goes to a full count with Felder, so Vizquel will be running on the pitch. And the first baseman, Paul Carey, will play off the bag with the left-hand batter up. Vizquel is running, and it's ball 4. So Felder fouled off some good pitches and worked Mike Messina for a walk, and that'll allow Ken Griffey to hit with 2 men on.
Well, that's the way you want to do it if you're Seattle. Make sure you give Griffey a shot with somebody on base. You can't ask for more than that. But he was flat out overmatched the first time up there. 2 blazing fastballs.
Messina threw him 2 fastballs, got ahead 0-2, and then threw him a changeup and struck him out.
Yep.
But Griffey has been red hot. 2 for 3 with a home run in the first game, 4 for 5 with a home run last night.
That's a striking earring he's got in that left ear. It's a beauty. I bet you that's worth one of those Ken Levine residual checks easy.
How would Earl Weaver have reacted if you'd shown up with an earring?
It probably cost me 3 dozen baseballs, and I had to remove it.
Strike 1 on the outside corner. It's hard to believe this kid is only 23. He'll turn 24 in November, already in his 5th year in the big leagues.
Well, that's just it. He's nothing but a kid having a good time playing his game.
He's driven in 100 or more runs each of the last 2 seasons. He's already won 3 Gold Gloves. Hammered foul off first base, and it's 0-2 to Griffey. Some have criticized his nonchalance. In the past, he failed to run out ground balls on occasion. But with Lou Piniella managing the team this year, Griffey's been running everything out and hustling.
Everybody runs everything out.
The second baseman, Harold Reynolds, and he throws out Griffey. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. We go to the bottom of the 3rd in a scoreless game.
Ben Franklin, please. This is Agent. Benji, baby. Of course I got your message. I can't afford to miss messages, especially yours. You're my number 1 client, Ben. George, sit. Yeah, that's why I have answer call here at the house, Ben. Yeah, I get my messages through the phone. It even takes them while I'm on the phone. You should get answer call, too. Trust me, Ben. Who got your picture on the $100 bill? George loves you.
Answer call from C&P Telephone. Call now and save on the service connection.
And welcome back to Camden Yards. Just a reminder, Dick Bosman's Celebrity Putt and Pitch Classic Golf Tournament is coming up June the 21st at Eagles Nest. For information, if you'd like to participate, it's 1-800-541-7544. That's 1-800-541-7544. The tournament 2 weeks from tomorrow. Let's take a look at the Washington Post scores. The Detroit Tigers and California tied at 1 in the 2nd inning. Tigers are sharing first place with Toronto. Cecil Fielder with an RBI single and Jack Snow with a scoring fly ball. Oakland leading Toronto 2-1 in the 2nd inning. Mike Bordick with a scoring fly ball. John Olerud hit a home run, his 12th this season. Olerud's having a terrific season for Toronto. Minnesota and Cleveland, they're scoreless in the 2nd, and just 1 game underway in the National League. The Philadelphia Phillies have a 5-0 advantage over Colorado in the 2nd. Darren Dalton a 3-run triple, and Jim Eisenreich and Mario Duncan have RBI singles. So that's a look at the Washington Post scores, and just a reminder, our coverage of the Orioles continues Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings here from Camden Yards as the Birds take on the Oakland A's, and we'll have all 3 of those games. Let's go back upstairs now to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein.
All right, thank you, Thomas. And a sellout crowd here this afternoon to watch what appears to be a pitcher's duel as we thought it would be. Chris Bosio and Mike Messina. Messina's given up 3 hits but no runs. Bosio has retired all 6 batters he's faced, and he'll take a look at the bottom of the order. Paul Carey, Harold Reynolds, and Jeff Tackett in the 3rd inning.
Well, right now, Bosio looks unapproachable on that mound, the way he's thrown those balls in and around the plate.
Ball 1 to Carey, the rookie first baseman out of Stanford University, who was recalled from Rochester. In 41 games for the Red Wings, he hit .348 with 8 homers. 1 ball, 1 strike to Carey. Singled off the Yankees' Bob Wickman for his first major league hit. His only hit so far. He's 1 for 11 since being recalled. One and 2. He is supposed to have power, though. Playing at Stanford, he broke Mark McGwire's Pac-10 career home run record with 56. Grounded foul into the Oriole dugout.
When I look at Carey, I see another Tino Martinez, except possibly a little better player and the ability to hit more home runs.
He's a big guy, 6'4", 215 pounds. Just missed his first major league home run.
Well, he clubbed it and got it up into that vicious breeze that you mentioned earlier, Mel, blowing from left to right. Popped right down on that breaking ball, and she was gone as soon as it left the bat. Look how much fair that is when it leaves.
And Bosio strikes him out. Game of inches.
He gets an ovation for a foul ball homer. And he hit it.
Almost hit his first major league homer off a pitcher who hasn't given up a home run. Here's Harold Reynolds, who has owned Bosio in previous matchups. He is hitting .524 against Bosio with 11 hits and 21 at bats. And he hits one to right. In there for a base hit, so he continues to pound Chris Bosio, now 12 for 22 lifetime against him.
He's feasting on him with those numbers. There are some members on a team you just cannot get out.
Well, let's see if the Orioles will try to get something going on the bases with Reynolds aboard. He has 9 stolen bases.
Well, why not? I mean, Bosio appears to be even more stingy than Mike Messina this afternoon.
Jeff Tackett is the hitter. There goes the runner. Hasselman's throw to second base is there, and Reynolds is out easily.
Out by a mile, not even close. I got a little surprised because Bosio worked very quickly to the plate, and then Hasselman threw a strike to second base. See, not the best jump in the world, but he didn't anticipate this throw being right there that quickly. And still looking back, trying to get a feel for what's happening around the plate. That usually costs you a half a step.
I think that was a hit and run or straight steal.
Couldn't tell. Usually when they look back, there's something going on at the plate. Usually it means a hit and run.
But Tackett did not make contact. 2-1 the count to Jeff, batting just .211. Balls, 2 strikes. Bosio in a groove, working quickly, throwing strikes. Giving up just 1 hit, and Reynolds was erased. Now watch him look back. As John said, usually when a hitter looks or a runner looks back, the hit and run is on. Tackett loops one into right for a base hit. So Tackett is aboard with 2 outs. And Brady Anderson up. Not much the Orioles can do here because Tackett does not run well. Brady Anderson grounded to first his first time up. He was hitless last night, 0 for 3 with a walk, but he hit the ball hard 3 times. Ken Griffey robbed him of an extra base hit with a leaping catch at the right center field wall in the first inning. Then his third time up, he hit a rocket right at the first baseman, Tino Martinez.
Now, right now, the Seattle infield could probably put 3 guys on the right side of second base and defense Anderson the way he's trying to pull the ball right now. Amaral has swung way over to his left. I know Vizquel is right in the hole at shortstop. I mean, he's probably out of position right now.
And the outfield is playing Brady straight away.
Potpourri of defensive possibilities out there right now.
No score, bottom of the 3rd inning. Ground ball knocked down by the first baseman Martinez right at the bag, and he makes the unassisted play to end the inning. Well, the Orioles got a couple of hits but could not score, and at the end of 3 it's still 0-0.
Nipper and Chipper show us what the RCA home theater with SRS sound looks like. Now they show us what it feels like. Looks like, feels like. Looks like, feels like. Any questions?
The biggest selection of RCA is at Luskin's, the cheapest guy in town.
If you've been thinking about playing the market this year, you'll want to take advantage of the stock sale now at your Jeep and Eagle dealer. With special purchase or lease options, you could invest in an award-winning Jeep Grand Cherokee or all-new Eagle Vision. Get a great return on a classic 4-wheel drive Jeep Cherokee Sport or close on a legendary Jeep Wrangler. But don't delay. With deals like these, there's sure to be a run on our stock.
See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer, where you can expect the best.
This summer reminder is brought to you by Pepsi. Better get yours before Shaq gets it all. Introducing the Big Slam bottle, a mighty mega slam of ice-cold Pepsi that'll beat the summer heat.
HTS coverage of Orioles baseball is brought to you by Roy Rogers. Try Roy's outrageously good roasted chicken or Roy's recipe fried chicken. By Geico, we have only one policy, safety. And by Citgo, experience the pride with a tank full of Citgo Super Premium. Fly with a new superpower. Mel Proctor with John Lowenstein, Tom Davis back at Oriole Park at Camden Yards as the Orioles try to sweep the Seattle Mariners. They won the opener 2 nights ago, 6-5 in 10 innings, and won last night 5-3. We are scoreless as Edgar Martinez leads off the 4th inning. Martinez flied to right his first time up. He has hit Mike Messina well. He's 3 for 5 lifetime against him.
There probably aren't too many pitchers that he doesn't hit well.
Ground ball to Leo Gomez. 1 down.
Not much happening right now for either of these clubs. Both of these clubs are going to have to devise some sort of method to exploit any weaknesses of these pitchers during the course of the game. They get a couple of guys on. Something's going to have to be done.
The Mariners have had opportunities. They had runners at first and second with 1 out in the second, but Mackey Sasser grounded into a double play to end the inning. Then in the 3rd, Messina gave up a single and a walk with 2 outs, and the Mariners had Ken Griffey coming up, but Messina got him on a ground out to second to end that threat. Ball 1 to Tino Martinez, who singled his first time up. I guess you could call him Napoleon Solo. 25 of his 30 home runs with the bases empty.
That is unusual.
Chris Hoyle's numbers are very similar. Most of his home runs have been solo shots. He's hit 39 homers, 31 have been solo homers.
Because this particular lineup, you'd expect someone to be on base when Tino comes up there. He's not leading off too many innings.
1-2 to Tino Martinez.
A line drive hitter with the power to hit home runs. And that's a pretty tasty combination. Plus, he'll take a walk when it's necessary.
the second baseman, Harold Reynolds. 2 outs in the fourth. That'll bring up Jay Buhner, who singled his first time up. Buhner, the big power-hitting right fielder. Has one of the better throwing arms in the game. In fact, the Mariners have 3 outfielders who are among the league leaders in assists. Mike Felder has 7. Buhner and Ken Griffey each have 4. No other American League team has more than 1 outfielder among the leaders. Fastball is fouled back, and it's 1-1.
Well, you saw that tremendous cut that he took. Enormous strength coupled with that tremendous bat speed can produce some prodigious home runs.
When you see a ball fouled straight back like that, it indicates that he just missed it. He was right on it with his swing. He just missed. You see a right-handed batter foul it off on the first base side. It means he's late on his swing. And of course, if he pulls it, he's ahead. But when it comes straight back, it means he barely missed. Ball to Harold Reynolds, and he throws out Buhner. So 1-2-3 inning for Mike Messina. We go to the bottom of the fourth in a scoreless
game. At the first tickly itch of athlete's foot, Desonex, do not stall. Desonex intercepts athlete's foot before it turns ugly, killing those grungy fungi before they get cracking and burning. There's a can at the store with your salvation in it. Come get it, or else don't blame Desonex. And for jock itch, Crew-X is the #1 cure. Crew-X kills jock itch fungus.
Welcome back to Camden Yards on a bright, beautiful, sunshiny afternoon. Pleasant breeze blowing. Time now to take a look at those Washington Post scores one more time. The California-Detroit game remains tied at 1 in the 3rd inning. RBI for Jack Snow on a fly ball. Cecil Fielder singled in the Tigers run. Tigers in Toronto started today's play tied for first place in the American League East. Orioles, by the way, were 8.5 games back. Oakland leads Toronto 4-1 in the 3rd. The A's just grabbed 3 runs. Mike Bordick with a scoring fly ball, and then Terry Steinbach and Kevin Seitzer with RBI singles. The Minnesota Twins lead Cleveland 1-0. They're now in the 3rd inning. Chuck Knobloch doubled in the run for the Twins. Now in the National League, Philadelphia off to a quick 5-run first inning. They lead Colorado 5-0 in the 2nd. Darren Dalton had a 3-run triple, and Jim Eisenreich and Mariano Duncan with RBI singles. St. Louis and Cincinnati just underway. They're scoreless in the 1st inning. That's the Washington Post scores. And again, a reminder, we will be back here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings with pregame coverage starting at 7:30 for game time as the Oakland A's come to town. It's kind of strange looking at the A's in the American League West and finding them right at the bottom after numerous years under Tony La Russa with excellent seasons. Let's go back upstairs now to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein.
All right, thank you, Tom. The Orioles will send up the 2-3-4 hitters to face Chris Bosio in the 4th. Mark McLemore, Cal Ripken, and Harold Baines. The Orioles have 2 hits, but no runs. The Mariners have 3 hits and no runs. McLemore struck out his first time up. He takes a strike. Mac did not like that call. He thought the pitch was high. Inside 1-1. All hitters ask from an umpire is consistency. Let me know what your strike zone is, but don't call a high pitch a strike one time and then not the next. Off the glove of Tino Martinez, and McLemore is safe.
Well, that's the break you need right there. Tino extended his range a little too far because that was a simple ground ball to Amaral at second base. You got to know where each of you are. Look at that little ground ball right there, and he deflected it outside of Amaral's reach.
And it scored as a base hit. Could have been an error.
Certainly could have been an error omission.
So McLemore is aboard with the 3rd Oriole hit, and Cal Ripken comes up. He struck out his first time up. Well, you got a fast runner at first. Cal is not bad if you want to play hit and run. He can hit the ball to right field pretty well.
Now, he's just looking to drive the ball right now.
That's what they have in mind, but a swing and a miss, and McLemore is safe at second base. Hasselman bounced that throw to second.
Well, look how quickly he got the ball down there to that position after a tremendous jump by McLemore. Hasselman's got a good hose, and look how quickly Bosio delivers it to him. That would have been a bang-bang play at second base had the throw been up about 1.5 to 2 feet. Because he's waiting for it.
So the Orioles with a scoring opportunity as McLemore steals second, his 12th stolen base of the year. Cal Ripken tries to get him home to give the Orioles the lead. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, this is exactly what we were talking about now, trying to exploit any advantage during the course of any one inning in this ball game.
Cal Ripken is hitting only .226 with runners in scoring position. Hit foul down the right field line. It's 1-2.
Both of these pitchers working this afternoon worked exceptionally fast and keep their defenses very much involved. And because he does work quickly, you have to be ready in that batter's box because he can throw the pitch at any time. Doesn't have that big wind-up or stretch to take out there. He comes to the plate fast. Palazzo setting the defense the way that Bosio wants it out there.
Cal Ripken is a .250 career hitter against Chris Bosio. A roller to the shortstop. That'll get the runner over to third. Cal is unable to drive the run home, but McLemore advances on the slow roller. I mean, at least it's progress, but you'd like to see your 3 and 4 hitters drive in those runners in scoring position.
That's because he's in scoring position with no outs. You know, you like to get him to third, as you mentioned, another 90 feet, but you want to drive the ball into the outfield as you can. Still get some high fives in the dugout.
Now the Mariners bring the infield in. With a runner at third, 1 out. Harold Baines is up. He takes a strike. And again, there's that pitch. Earlier that was called the ball. Twice in this half inning, Durwood Merrill was called the high strike. Once with McLemore hitting, and now with Baines up.
Well, you got to rip him verbally if you're the hitter and you don't like it.
Bosio brushes him off the plate, and it's 1-1.
These umpires are not robots. You got to let them know. If you think they're not calling the right pitches, then you got to let them know.
Baines is up there with the idea of hitting the ball in the air, but it's very tough to do against Bosio. He has a sinking fastball and a slider. It's a lot of ground balls.
And Durwood Merrill, the umpire, he likes a good argument every now and then.
Baines rolls it foul, and it's 1-2.
This is a spot where you've got to hit the ball with some authority.
Baines is hitting .286 with runners in scoring position.
First of all, how many chances can you appreciate during the afternoon against a guy like Bosio? And this is one that you've got to exploit.
Two and two.
Not far from where that first pitch was called a strike. Slightly more inside.
Mark McLemore is at third base. He led off with an infield hit, stole second, went to third on a ground out. The ball gets away from the catcher, and McLemore streaks home with a go-ahead run. The Orioles get a break and take the lead on a wild pitch by Chris Bosio.
And not much the Mariners can do about that. Did his best to try to block this ball to keep it in front of him, but hit off that chest protector and carry him into the dugout. Good fortune shining on this Orioles ballpark in this club this afternoon.
The Orioles still haven't hit a ball hard in this inning, but they have a run. An infield hit, a stolen base, a ground out, and a wild pitch that produced the only run of the game. Baines hits it foul down the left field line. more speed, helping create the run.
The solo run maker. An assist from Tino Martinez.
And Baines draws a walk. It's the first walk given up by Bosio, who had walked only 16 in 41 2/3 innings coming into this game.
Bosio appears disgusted with his bad luck this inning.
Mike Devereaux comes up with one out and a man at first. He grounded to short his first time up against Bosio. Ball one. 1 run, 3 hits for the Orioles. No runs, 3 hits for Seattle. It's an interesting graphic where his home runs have climbed.
Increased steadily year to year.
He hammers one to deep left field. Way back out of here. Devereaux with his second home run in 2 nights, and the first home run allowed this year by Chris Bosio. It's 3-0 Orioles.
Got that deadpan step in the bucket style right there, and he hung that breaking ball right up there for him to crank right in his wheelhouse. Oh, you got to be Rocky the Flying Squirrel to stop that one from going out. Boy.
Leo Gomez lifts one high in the air to shallow left center. Felder coming in with the glasses down. The wind pulls it away from him, but he makes the catch.
Yeah, it looks like these clubs are going to have to contend with that strong wind again here this afternoon, but Devereaux provides some more excitement yet again.
I'm sure Chris Bosio is a little downcast knowing that Mike Messina has a 3-run lead. Carey got one up in the wind his last time up, but it pulled the ball foul, just missing his first major league homer. Then he struck out. Sharp ground ball by the diving second baseman into right field, and Carey with his second major league hit. And the Orioles beginning to get to Chris Bosio. They retired the first 7 hitters to start the game, gave up a couple of bloop hits in the third. McLemore opened this inning with an infield hit, stole second, went to third on a ground out, came home on a wild pitch. Then with 1 out, Bosio walked Baines, and Devereaux then hit a 2-run homer off of him to make it 3-0. And now a single by Carey.
Very much perturbed with the disgusting chain of events Bosio is.
And Harold Reynolds up for the second time. He singled his first time up. He continues to dominate Bosio. Inside, ball 1. Harold now 12 for 22 lifetime against him. One ball, 1 strike. Harold questioning the call by Durwood Merrill. He thought the pitch is low.
A lot of questioning going on here this afternoon. Usually when there's that much going on, there's something wrong. And you can see it visually. Bosio stepping back and reassessing. And you're right, he realizes that he just cannot afford to give up any more.
Reynolds started to swing and then tried to get out of the way, and third base umpire Tim Wilkie ruled that he swung at the pitch, and it's 1-2.
Well, he started to swing, then he started to get out of the way, and he just carried the bat over and threw. Bosio was immediate. He wanted the call from the third base umpire, and he got it.
Chris Bosio has done several things in this inning he normally doesn't do. First of all, he last year allowed less than 2 walks per 9 innings. He walked Harold Baines in this inning, setting up the home run by Devereaux. He had not thrown a wild pitch this season until he wild pitched Mark McLemore home with the first run, and he had not given up a home run until Devereaux took him deep. Good-looking bunt. This is trouble. They'll never get it. So Reynolds surprising the Mariners with a bunt with 2 strikes on it.
I'll tell you, he's the only one that I've seen in the American League that does that with some consistency. Or at least tries to bunt with 2 strikes. It's a terrible offensive play, but I guess he feels semi-comfortable with his ability to get it down as he did here.
So Reynolds is 2 for 2 this afternoon against Bosio and is now 13 for 23 lifetime against him.
He bunted it right into the Bermuda Triangle right there. Nobody was expecting it.
Ball 1 to Jeff Tackett, who looped a single to right his first time up. It's pretty impressive. Of course, you could catch Messina.
I was going to say.
Not to discredit Jeff, he is a fine catcher, calls a good game and throws well, but Messina is Messina, one of the great ones. Bosio seems to have lost his concentration a little bit after being touched for 3 runs in the inning as he falls behind on the number 9 hitter Tackett. Brady Anderson is on deck. Ball 4. The bases are loaded. For Bosio, who last year didn't give up 2 walks in a game on an average, has walked 2 in the inning, and Sammy Ellis comes out to the mound.
First of all, he'll probably tell him that he has the kind of offense to get back in this game regardless of who his mound opponent is. Maybe he can convince him of that. And another thing is that Lou Piniella, if he sees that some more runs are going to be scored, Bosio is going to be out of there, even though no one is warming up right now in the Seattle bullpen.
Bases loaded, 2 outs. Brady Anderson up, the 9th hitter to come up in this inning. Bosio wants a new baseball. Brady has grounded to first twice this afternoon. So the Orioles with a chance to blow this one open. The 2 outs, the runners will be going on anything hit. Strike 1.
This particular at-bat right here requires some perfection on the part of Bosio, because you're right. I mean, this could be the clincher right here for the Orioles if he were to get a base hit.
Brady trying to check his swing on the appeal. Tim Wilkie says he swung, and it's 0-2.
Tim's an unpopular man here this afternoon. Clearly, it was a swing that should have gotten a strike on him, and it did. That's all it takes, that kind of commitment. Strikeout would end the inning with an exclamation point. That's what Bosio wants. See that diagram? The bases are loaded.
Ground ball to the first baseman, Tino Martinez, and that ends the inning. But the Orioles scored 3 runs on 4 hits. They leave the bases loaded. And at the end of 4, they lead the Mariners 3-0.
Increased steadily year.
You're watching HTS. More sports. Your sports.
2 words. Grand Am. 3 little letters. SSE. You see where I'm coming from? I know where I'm headed.
The Grand Am SSE. Exclusively at your performance-driven Pontiac dealers. Limited numbers. High demand. No deductible warranty. No cost roadside assistance. Courtesy transportation.
I want it all.
Grand Am Special Sport Edition for a 239 36-month smart drive. Yeah, 36 months.
Bingo.
Get yours at your 10 performance-driven Pontiac dealers.
The road to soccer's World Cup 94 begins here on HTS. The premier players, the powerhouse teams, the potential upsets. Follow the road to World Cup 94 on HTS. The U.S. World Team, they can put the ball in the goal. They can keep it out of the goal. Now, a major test against mighty Brazil. Sunday night at 7, only on HTS.
Get on the fast track with the best in racing. NASCAR, Indy, NHRA, World Grand Prix, EMA Superbike, Motocross, USAC, Winston Cup, SCCA, Modified, Worlds of Outlaws, Formula One, Highlight, Preview and Review Shows. All this and more on the fast track to excitement.
Right here on HTS.
The Sherwin-Williams update on Mike Messina. An excellent ratio. Of the 54 pitches he's thrown, 40 have been strikes and only 14 balls. He has a 3-0 lead facing the bottom of the order in the 5th. Mackey Sasser, Bill Hasselman, and Rich Amaral for the Mariners. Strike one to Sasser, who grounded into a double play his first time up. Messina is a great pitcher to begin with, but when he gets the lead, he's able to elevate his game a notch. Very tough to beat once he has the advantage. Drive to right field, playable for McLemore. Mark makes the catch. That'll bring up the catcher, Bill Hasselman. Another sellout crowd here today. The Orioles have sold out 19 times in 25 home dates.
Well, they saw the door prop open a bit there in the Orioles half, and they stormed through for 3 tallies. They're going to be tough to catch.
Hasselman tried to bunt his way on his first time up and bunted it to Leo Gomez, who threw him out. 1-0 to the Mariners catcher, who played college ball at UCLA and was a first-round draft pick of the Texas Rangers in 1987. The Mariners claimed him on waivers from Texas. Spent most of the last 3 years at AAA. 2 years in the Rangers organization, then at Calgary, the Mariners AAA affiliate last season. 2-1 to Hasselman. I mentioned it is a sellout. 46,296 here today.
Well, Hasselman wouldn't want to be catching in that Texas Rangers organization anyway with Pudge Rodriguez there.
Rich Amaral is on deck.
Looks like Rodriguez is going to be around for many, many years.
High fly ball to deep left field. Back goes Brady Anderson. It's gone. Bill Hasselman with his second home run of the season as Messina loses his shutout, and it's now 3-1 Orioles.
Well, that'd have been far out of UCLA's diamond as well, twice. That's like programming a computer when you can go 3-1 on a pitcher. You can usually expect for that one pitch to be a fastball, and it's up to you, your duty, to get that bat hit around and propel it. And that's what Bill Hasselman did.
It's the 11th home run of the season allowed by Mike Messina. He's tied with Rick Sutcliffe for most gopher balls on the staff.
He didn't need to ride the wind on that blast.
To Rich Amaral, who struck out his first time up.
The thing is, Messina gives up a lot of solo home runs, and that's to his benefit.
Line down the right field line, foul.
When you get into that multi-run home run business, then you're looking for trouble. Mariners pitchers have found that out the last couple of nights. Messina's fastball has mustard seed all over it. You just have to convince yourself that you can catch up to it.
1 ball, 1 strike to Amaral. The Orioles lead 3-1 in the 5th. 2-1. Goes 3-1 to Amaral, so he's struggling with the bottom of the order. Fell behind on Hasselman 3-1, and he hit a home run. He's the number 8 hitter. Now he's behind 3-1 on the number 9 hitter, Amaral. Fly ball to right field. McLemore with the glasses down, battling the sun, and that was a tough chance. Ball got up in the sun, and he almost lost it.
When you see that sun glistening off those glasses, that means it is directly in the eyes of those outfielders. And not much cloud cover here this afternoon to break the sky up a little bit.
Field, McLemore with the glasses down, battling the sun, and that was a tough chance. Ball got up in the sun, and he almost lost it.
When you see that sun glistening off those glasses, that means it is directly in the eyes of those outfielders. And not much cloud cover here this afternoon to break the sky up a little bit.
Two outs in the top of the 5th, and Omar Vizquel coming up to face Messina. He has struck out and singled. Messina won his last start Monday in Oakland. Another brilliant performance as he beat the A's 3-1. He went the distance, scattering 6 hits. Only 8 balls were hit out of the infield in that game. He got 15 ground ball outs. Only 1 runner reached third base.
That's because the usual breaking assortment we see from Mike Messina lends to a smorgasbord of confusion for the hitter. It's not easy to set on pitches.
2-0 to Omar Vizquel. The Orioles playing him very shallow and shading him toward left field in the outfield. 2-1. It's what has made him a good hitter. He stopped trying to pull everything and hit it in the air and either hits the ball on the ground or tries to hit it the opposite way. Up the middle, base hit.
You mean like that?
He'll take it. He's 2 for 3. And that'll get the tying run to the plate.
Yeah, both pitchers, it seems, after their home runs became slightly agitated on the mound. And that usually works to the hitter's advantage.
That's the 5th Seattle hit off Messina. And Dick Mosman walks out to the mound to talk with his ace.
Just like Sammy Ellis previous to his trip to the mound. Goes out there to try to settle things down a little bit. Regain a little perspective.
Three runs, 6 hits, no errors for the Orioles. 1 run, 5 hits, no errors for the Mariners. It's Sutcliffe. They pitched 2 nights ago. Not figuring the decision, the Orioles won that game in extra innings, 6-5.
Very stylish Oakleys, however. We didn't get that many lenses, did we?
No, we got 1. Hey, but the glasses were free.
That's right. You got it.
I sat on my glasses and broke them and sent them back to the Oakley people, and they were kind enough to send me a new pair. I broke the frame. Very nice.
You tell them to sat on?
No. A vicious rip by Felder, and he fouls it back. 0-1.
Maybe he can get lucky. Maybe he can get that ball up in that wind and hit a home run. That cut will produce it.
He doesn't have much power, though. He's hit only 1 home run this year. Hit 4 last year playing for the Giants. And that was a career high for him. On the corner. Beautiful pitch, and it's 0-2.
That that knuckle curveball has a tendency sometimes to kind of go away from a left-handed hitter. That's what makes him so tough on left-handers. You'd expect left-handers to have a better batting average against him, but that hasn't been the case.
Lefties are batting 198 against Mike Messina. Right-handers haven't done much better, hitting 227. Tried to go out there again and missed, and it's 1-2. Orioles 3, Mariners 1. Top of the 5th. Popped foul. The Orioles are trying to win their 4th straight game. The rally hat.
Ken Griffey Sr. with it on top of his head.
The Orioles won the final game in Oakland behind Fernando Valenzuela, winning 5-2. Won the opener here Friday, 6-5 in 10 innings. And then won last night 5-3. With rookie Brad Pennington getting the win in relief. With a changeup. But the Mariners pick up a run on a Bill Hasselman home run at the end of 4.5. The Orioles lead 3-1.
At Safeway, our Savings Club members love getting free groceries.
I got free orange juice, free apple juice,
Free bread.
eggs, butter, cheese, all that kind of stuff that you use all the time.
We had no idea the club would be so popular.
Most of the people in my neighborhood, which is pretty close to here, are members.
All my daughters, and there are 5 of them.
My girlfriends are too.
With over 1 million members, why wait to join? Stop by any Safeway or just call us. After all, nobody else is going to give you free groceries every month.
Welcome back to Camden Yards. Time to take a look at some of those Miller Lite highlights. We're going to take a look at the Twins and the Indians playing at the Municipal Stadium in Cleveland. Right now, the Twins have a 5-0 lead in the 4th inning. We're going to pick up the first run. Dennis Cook facing Chuck Knobloch with Lenny Webster at second. And Knobloch will come through with a double that produces the first run. After that, Kirby Puckett hit a home run, his 11th this season. Lenny Webster came through with a 2-run double. And the Twins now have a 5-0 lead over Cleveland. They're in the 4th inning at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland. Twins have been struggling, to say the least, and the Indians are in last place in the American League's Eastern Division. Right now, Minnesota 5, Cleveland nothing in the 4th inning. And just a reminder, the Dick Bosman Celebrity Pitch and Putt Classic, Golf Classic, coming up June the 21st at Eagles Nest. For information, 1-800-541-7544. It is open to the public. 1-800-541-7544. Don't forget, we'll have more baseball Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights here on HTS. Mel?
All right, Tom. Chris Bosio ready to go in the bottom of the 5th inning. He's thrown 69 pitches, 43 strikes, and 26 balls, but the Orioles were able to get to him for 3 runs in the 4th inning. Mark McLemore leads off the 5th. He's the guy who got things started in the 4th. Reaching on an infield hit, then he stole second on what appeared to be a broken hit-and-run play. Went to third on a ground out by Cal Ripken, and then Bosio wild pitched him home. Later in the inning, Mike Devereaux hit a 2-run homer. Grounded foul, and it's 1-1 to McLemore.
But that first manufactured run was a beauty, as you mentioned.
That's what speed can do. If you don't have someone who's hitting, the team's not scoring a lot of runs. If you can get one of those rabbits on, you can manufacture a run.
You betcha.
Ooh. Well, that was just a little too close, wasn't it? That was your basic purpose pitch.
Well, he's got something on his mind when he throws it right in there.
Three and one.
And actually, Bosio doesn't need anybody else on base right now. He needs a good couple of innings with no one out there.
3-2 to Mark McLemore, who's hitting .311, batting left-handed. Way high.
Bosio says, I'll take it.
Sherwood Merrill with a floating strike zone today. McLemore's call out on strikes.
Well, in most cases, this kind of strike zone is good for the pitcher.
Well, maybe it wasn't on.
Right.
But it was outside.
It certainly was outside. But again, for Bosio, the perfect pitch. Because he can get a swing on it.
Strike one to Cal Ripken. That's the 5th strikeout of the game for Chris Bosio. Cal was struck out, grounded out. He lines it into left center for a base hit. Hit number 7 for the Orioles off Bosio.
You throw the ball out over the plate and down a little bit, and Ripken can smash it. That's why you got to keep the ball in on him or away from him. Because that the new stance that he is employing is deadly on anything down and out over the plate a little low.
Harold Baines up for the 3rd time. He has grounded to the pitcher and walked. He was aboard on Devereaux's home run in the 4th inning.
Bosio has been playing with Baines all afternoon long. Hasn't given him anything to hit whatsoever. And he says if Baines is going to continue to stand out there, I'll just keep the ball away from him.
Ball 1.
The hope is that he can get Baines to lunge for a ball and maybe hit a little slow tapper to the second baseman.
Look how far off the plate Baines is.
Yeah,
a lot of hitters like to stand back off the plate and then dive in.
See, there's no reason for him to come in. He'll stay out there all afternoon long. Got him to lunge again, just as we mentioned. He might need a mid-at-bat adjustment right here, and move just slightly closer to the plate, but I've never seen Baines do that ever in his career. As stubborn at the plate as anyone.
He hammers one to deep right field. Going, gone, goodbye. The first home run of the year for Harold Baines, and his first home run since Game 1 of the 1992 American League Championship Series when he connected off Jack Morris of Toronto. That was when Baines was playing with Oakland. So a long drought ends as Baines clubs a 2-run homer to make it 5-1.
I can see why he's stubborn. Why in the world Bosio come in there and threw him the pitch right there for him to unload on is amazing. I mean, he unpacked the lumber on that baby, and everyone is yelling, bingo! Except Bosio.
Oh, calm down, will you? Strike one to Mike Devereaux.
It's the most excitement we've had here in this ballpark all season long.
How much caffeine have you had this morning?
Too much Coke.
Ground ball to the third baseman. Martinez over to first. 2 outs. Well, the Orioles playing the long ball in this series. They hit 2 home runs last night. 2 more today with Devereaux and Baines both connecting. Baines got a fat pitch and was all over it.
You know, Bosio tried to keep the ball away from him. He put a run over the inside part of the plate, and it got clobbered.
So Bosio, who had not allowed a home run all year, has given up 2 today. Ball 1 to Leo Gomez, who struck out and flied to center.
The good sign for the Orioles is that the 4th and 5th spots have produced home runs today.
2-0.
That was the part of the lineup that was giving the most difficulty as far as producing runs.
A long drive to deep center field. Back goes Felder on the run, and it's off the wall. And Gomez into second with a long double.
Who would have thought that Bosio would have produced so much long ball excitement here this afternoon, and he's showing the ability of the Orioles to produce that extra base hit, and yet no one has gotten up in that bullpen.
And it looks like finally the Mariners will get somebody warm as Bosio's given up 9 hits.
It's another ball that Gomez cranks out toward that center field wall. Feller does a good job getting this ball in very quickly.
5 runs, 9 hits for the Orioles, 1 run, 5 hits for Seattle. And here's Paul Carey. He takes a pitch up and in. Carey has struck out and singled.
Jim Carey, who is Paul's brother, was the Washington Capitals' second pick last year in the draft. Brother is possibly playing in the Metroplex.
Ground ball to the first baseman, Tino Martinez. He makes the unassisted play, but the Orioles pad their lead on a 2-run homer by Baines. They now lead 5-1.
Cylinder is secured and turned in a counterclockwise motion, causing the internal rating to rise and disengage. It's easy to make something as simple as opening a jar complex. The challenge is making the complex simple. But that's what we do at Bell Atlantic Mobile. We take cutting-edge technology and place it comfortably in your hands. Bell Atlantic Mobile. Advanced technology and people who make it mean something.
People living with pain keep thanking me.
Thanks, Joe.
For telling them about Flexall 454, the aloe vera-based pain-relieving gel recommended by the athletic trainers of all major pro sports.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe.
Flexall, America's #1 pain-relieving gel. #1 at helping people feel better, live better, work better. If you're living with pain, get better. Get Flexall, the pain relief pro trainers recommend.
I've been on the Just Help Yourself program for a while, and I have really good results.
Just Help Yourself, a diet you can do for yourself.
It's very encouraging, you know, when you have that initial weight loss and you see the pounds going away. It just really gives you that incentive to continue.
Choose from 28 meals so delicious you won't know you're on a diet.
I didn't have to go to a weekly meeting and confess what I'd done or what I didn't do.
Just Help Yourself, only at Giant.
It's a guilt-free, worry-free type of a program.
HTS coverage of Orioles baseball is brought to you by the new Kodak Photo CD system that puts your photographs on your TV. And by Desenex. Desenex kills athlete's foot fungi before it turns ugly. Mel Proctor with John Lowenstein, Tom Davis back at Oriole Park at Camden Yards as the Orioles close in on a sweep of the Seattle Mariners. Playing long ball again today, they lead 5-1, and Mike Messina will face Ken Griffey Jr. leading off for the Mariners in the 6th. Griffey has struck out and grounded out. The key to Messina's success against him has been getting ahead in the count. Up 0-2. He struck him out with a changeup in the first. 1-2. He got him to ground out his second time up, and he's ahead in the count again, 0-2.
Yeah, and he got him to fish for that knuckle curve on that pitch right there. So he's mixed up his pitches with Griffey up there at the plate, as well as anyone who's hit against him this afternoon.
Just outside, says Stillwood Merrill. And it's 1-2.
Your statement about a floating strike zone is correct this afternoon. Everybody realizes that now. You just got to deal with it.
Griffey skies it to left center field. Brady Anderson into the alley. One down in the 6th.
I guarantee you asked this Orioles ball club and Mike Messina specifically if they expected this kind of support this afternoon against a guy like Basio, they would have said no. And they probably would have settled for 2 or 3 runs. But he's got 5 in the pocket, leading by 4.
Well, if the Orioles could win today, and if Milwaukee should lose in Kansas City, the Orioles would move into 5th place. They've been in last place or next to last every day of the season so far. Ball 1 to Edgar Martinez, who's flying to right and grounded to third.
Well, that's the beauty of baseball. There's always hope in a long season. If you had to play the game once a week, it'd be very draining.
Martinez, who led the major leagues in hitting last year with a .343 mark. He didn't become a regular player in the big leagues until the age of 27. 3-0. Came up in '89. Hit .240 in 65 games, then got a chance to play regularly the next year and hit .302, then .307, and last year .343. 3-1 to Edgar.
He's got the body mechanics of a .330, .340 hitter, but his structure physically is not conducive to one thinking that this guy could be a good hitter at the plate.
Ground ball to Harold Reynolds. 2 outs. Messina has handled the heart of the batting order. Griffey is 0 for 3. Martinez 0 for 3. And Tino Martinez has the only hit among the 3, 4, 5 hitters. He singled and grounded to second. Knuckle curve is low, ball 1.
Well, Tino kicked the door ajar there in the 4th inning and allowed the Orioles to storm through for 3 runs, and that was the start of that rally.
1-1. That looked like a changeup. If you're a hitter, you can't develop any sort of pattern on Messina. He's so unpredictable. You're looking fastball, he throws you a changeup. You're looking for something off speed, you get a fastball.
Well, we're not talking about someone who has maybe 3 pitches in his arsenal. This guy has 4 solid pitches and has 2 different curveballs and several different changeups.
Ground ball to Cal Ripken, who gobbles it up. And that does it for the Mariners. 1-2-3 inning for Mike Messina. We go to the bottom of the 6th with the Orioles leading 5-1.
Ben Franklin, please. This is Agent. Benji, baby. Of course I got your message. I can't afford to miss messages, especially yours. You're my #1 client, Ben. George, sit. Yeah, that's why I have answer call here at the house, Ben. Yeah, I get my messages through the phone. It even takes them while I'm on the phone. You should get answer call, too. Trust me, Ben. Who got your picture on the $100 bill? George, love you.
Answer call from C&P Telephone. Call now and save on the service connection.
Welcome back to Camden Yards. Couldn't be a more beautiful day. The Orioles and the Seattle Mariners concluding this 3-game series. Time now to take a look at the Washington Post scores. The Detroit Tigers leading California 5-1 in the 5th. Cecil Fielder has driven in 3 runs on the day with a home run, another with a single. He has 11 home runs for the year, and Chad Kruger tripled in a run for the Tigers. Jack Snow with JT Snow, it's Jack's son, with a scoring fly ball for the Angels run. Oakland 7-1 over Toronto. They're now in the 5th inning. Early RBIs for Mike Steinbach and Kevin Seitzer. Also Mike Bordick with a scoring fly ball. Minnesota 5, Cleveland 0. They're now in the 5th inning. Chuck Knobloch doubled in 1. Kirby Puckett with a home run, his 8th this season. And Lenny Webster had a 2-run double. Kansas City 3, Milwaukee 0. They're now in the 2nd inning. George Brett scoring fly ball. Wally Joyner double that produced a run, and Chris Quinn singled in 1. Boston leading Chicago 1-0 in the 3rd. Yvonne Calderon knocked in the Boston run. In the National League, big day for Jim Eisenreich and Darren Dalton. They've driven in 3 apiece. Dalton with a 3-run triple. Eisenreich 2-run double and an RBI single. It's Philadelphia 8, Colorado 2. That game now in the 4th inning. St. Louis and Cincinnati tied at 1 in the 4th. Bernard Gilkey singled in the St. Louis run. Cardinals RBI Barry Larkin with a fly ball. And the New York Mets 1, Houston 0 in the 2nd. Joe Orsulak homered for the Mets run, his 3rd home run this season. That's the Washington Post scores. Don't forget, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights here on HTS, the Birds and the Oakland A's. Mel?
Oh, there's a purpose pitch. Bosio throwing right at Harold Reynolds. He's going to set off a brawl here if he's not careful. He threw close to McLemore, threw behind him before. Now here's Reynolds. We gave you his stats earlier. 13 for 23 lifetime against him, and he was trying to hit him there.
Well, that shows you how Bosio's control has been this afternoon.
Well, we'll see what happens the rest of the way. But that was pretty obvious.
Because he's tried to hit a couple of players on the leg, but he hasn't been able to do it.
Reynolds singled his first time up, and then with the count 1-2 in the 4th inning, bunted his way on. So he's 2 for 2 today. 3-1. Reynolds pops it up. The right fielder Buhner battling the sun and makes the catch.
Neither McLemore nor Reynolds complained profusely because they weren't thrown at above the waist, and they didn't get hit.
I don't think they were too happy, though.
No, of course not.
We'll see if America will go down at some point. Ball 1 to Jeff Tackett. Tackett has singled and walked. one out, the backup job over Mark Parent, although both played well in the spring, was a tough decision for Johnny Oates to make. And Parent was so distraught that he thought about retiring, but Rick Sutcliffe talked to him and said, don't give it up yet. You never know what's going to happen. So Parent decided to go back to AAA and is really having a fine year. He was just named Batter of the Week in the International League, showing some power.
You find room for people like that. Let's face it.
Some teams are carrying 3 catchers. The Mariners are one of those. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Tackett.
And there's got a catcher playing the outfield. Most catchers can play first base. Everyone can certainly DH. But most teams do not have the luxury of carrying 3 catchers. But if you've got extra people on the club who are not saving a lot of action and you don't anticipate them playing very much, then ordinarily you make a move.
Tackett strikes out. I thought some other club might pick up Mark Parent. Throws very well. There's a good catcher. Showing some power. Well, Lou Pinella's heading out to the mound, first consulting with Durwood Merrill, which usually indicates that there's an injury. Fabio may have hurt himself.
They may have had enough. Period.
He's just coming back from a dislocated shoulder. This is his 3rd outing since. He indicates he's all right.
Well, he admitted that. He says, I'm all right. I'm fine. I can still throw.
Still throw at people.
Can't hit him, though. His control's a little off.
He's given up 5 runs on 9 hits, walked 2, struck out 5, and given up a pair of home runs. Brady Anderson steps in. He has grounded to first 3 times today. Ball 1. Strike.
Well, he's hit the ball hard twice. He just doesn't have anything to show for it.
Dwayne Henry up in the bullpen for the Mariners. 2-1 to Brady. Fazio's upset at himself. He hasn't been real sharp. He was early. But the Orioles scored 3 runs in the 4th, 2 in the 5th. Been falling behind in the count. Brady breaks his bat, but drops a base hit down the right field line, and he's going to try for 2, testing Jay Buhner's arm, and he's safe. Buhner has one of the best throwing arms in baseball, but Brady put him to the test and wins in with a double.
Well, it doesn't work when he keeps the bat together. Maybe this is what he has to do a little more often, but you're right. He tested him right from the get-go here. And Buhner has one of the best arms in right field in baseball.
Buhner, though, was moving toward the line, had to whirl around and throw, and was off balance. It's a tough throw to make.
Yeah, and of course that goes into the thinking and the computer in the mind of a base runner who has the kind of speed Brady does.
0-1 to Mark McLemore. So Chris Fazio has now given up 10 hits. The Orioles lead 5-1 in the 6th. Strike to McLemore, who struck out twice, but in the 4th inning came up, reached on an infield hit, stole second, went to third on a ground out, scored on a wild pitch. The first run of the game to break up what appeared to be a pitcher's duel. 1-2 to McLemore. His last time up, Fazio threw a pitch right behind McLemore and almost hit him.
Just coincidentally, 2 of the guys in the ball club who can run a bit.
McLemore strikes out for the 3rd time as the Orioles leave a runner in scoring position. At the end of 6, they lead the Mariners 5-1.
You're watching HTS. Keep current with what's on HTS by reading the TV listings in your daily sports page.
Time for NBA action. A bang hoop show that's on top of the game.
Whose game is it? It's Michael Jordan's game.
You get it all.
The Bell delivers.
The hottest players and teams.
Less than a second.
Your favorite personalities.
There's Dominic. Yes!
And the greatest plays of the week. All this and more coming your way in NBA action.
Catch NBA action Tuesdays at 6:30 on HTS. A road to soccer's World Cup 94 begins here on HTS. The premier players, the powerhouse teams, the potential upsets. Follow the road to World Cup 94 on HTS. The U.S. World Team. They can put the ball in the goal. They can keep it out of the goal. Now, a major test against mighty Brazil. Sunday night at 7, only on HTS.
This is the new Infinity G20, and this is Infinity's new electronic key. I'm going to have to talk fast, so listen. Get out, press this, lock all the doors. If you can't remember what you just did, in which case it's going to be a long day, press this. It shows you the car is locked. On your way back, press this and open the trunk. Unlock the driver's door, unlock all the doors. And if some oddball is hanging about your car, press this. Visit your Infinity showroom, and you can have one to play with, too. I wonder what this is for.
Nationwide Infinity, York and Timonium Roads next to the fairgrounds.
Souvenir Stadium shirts here. You got the All-Star Season shirt and the Oriole Park shirt right here. All styles of t-shirts and sweatshirts.
All right, everything's for sale these days. As we near the All-Star game here in Baltimore. And I'm sure Mike Messina will be in the All-Star game. Going after his 8th win of the year. Strike one to Jay Buhner leading off the 7th inning. Messina is tied for second in the league in wins with 7. Jack McDowell of the White Sox won his 8th last night. 1 ball, 1 strike to Buhner.
Have you ever seen anybody work the bat like Buhner does? Rather unique to him.
Busy hands.
Very much so. If you got pine tar on there, usually you can't do that.
Well, Messina again working into the 7th inning. Amazing consistency. 48 of his 56 career starts. He's pitched into the 7th. Buhner strikes out. It's the 5th strikeout for Messina this afternoon.
Not only does he get these batters in a position where he can strike them out, he knows how to close out these at-bats. And he doesn't often do it with that fastball.
Nice hats, fellas.
Sunday.
Here's Mackie Sasser, who's grounded into a double play and fly to right. He hits one foul. In for a strike, and it's 0-2 to Sasser, who's been a backup catcher most of his career. His best year was in 1990 with the Mets when he hit .307 playing in 100 games. 1-2. Strikeout number 6 for Messina.
The temptation of that off-speed pitch. And it hasn't really mattered where he's thrown it this afternoon, whether it be upstairs where this one is, whether it's been down and fading away from hitters. It's been the same result. The only run coming, that fastball home run that Hasselman hit in the left center.
And Bill Hasselman comes up for the 3rd time with 2 outs, nobody on in the 7th. Oh, here we go. Hasselman charging the mound. He and Messina get after it. Tackett dives in, and both benches have emptied. A full-scale brawl. Well, this was touched off by Chris Bosio throwing at 2 Orioles. Messina retaliating by drilling Hasselman. There's Randy Johnson standing there, the tallest player in baseball history, saying, I don't want any part of this, and they're really getting after it. Messina will undoubtedly be thrown out of the game, which certainly won't help the Orioles' cause. Jay Buhner being restrained by Alan Mills. Todd Froworth racing out of the bullpen, getting into it with Jeff Nelson. And here we go again. Another brawl breaks out. There's several of them going, one near the mound, one at home plate, one up the third baseline. There's Jerry Narin, one of the Orioles coaches, in that scramble. There's Nelson, the 6'8" right-hander, putting a bear hug on one of the Orioles. Leo Gomez grabs Henry Cotto. Harold Reynolds, the former Mariner, trying to play peacemaker. Now Cotto and Gomez standing there. Johnny Oates, the manager's right in the middle of it. And another brawl breaks out near the Mariner dugout. I can't tell who's in the bottom of the pile. Leo Gomez is down there. How are they going to get this stopped? Where are the police? How did the police get out there and help break this up? Where are the security people? They can't expect the umpires to stop this. It's gotten out of hand. Why don't the policemen get out there and help stop it? Charlton, the Mariners reliever. Really, why aren't the police out here? And really, how can they expect the umpires to break this thing up? It's gotten totally out of hand.
Johnny Oates has tried to be the peacemaker down there, but he got involved in what was going on as well.
It may not be over yet. There are a couple of guys about to get into it near home plate.
They don't want to give up. Charlton is still frustrated from the other night. Buhner was right in the middle of it and got popped twice by Alan Mills.
Mike Ferraro trying to restrain McLemore. He was the first man that Bosio threw at. One of the umpires trying to hold off Charlton, who scraped his knuckles, popping the fire extinguisher case earlier in this series. Elrod Hendricks says, calm down, it's over. Well, really, what took the police? The police never got involved in it. I mean, there were 3 or 4 different skirmishes breaking out, and it was left to the umpires and the combatants to try to end it. Charlton wants a piece of somebody.
Well, Charlton probably should be handcuffed and led to the dugout.
They're still milling around near the mound. Is it finally over? Mark Williamson is bleeding from the nose. Now they're arguing up the third baseline. It's about to break out again. Here we go again. Jeff Tackett's trying to get into it with one of the Mariners. Really, where are the security people and the police?
They don't need the police, they need the National Guard.
There are a couple of policemen standing out in the field, but they're not doing anything. And now another brawl breaks out. Here we go again. This is one of the worst brawls I've ever seen. Jeff Tackett goes down. Where are the police? Somebody's got to do something or this is never going to end. There are 4 or 5 policemen standing around watching. They're never going to get this under control unless somebody steps in. Leo Gomez is pushing Henry Cotto away. There are going to be some serious injuries if they're not already, unless they get this stopped. And they better get it under control before people start piling out of the stands. Charlton apparently thinks he's the heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, he's had enough. He's had enough.
But can you understand why the police didn't do anything?
Is there some sort of rule about them not getting involved?
What the police are doing right now is they've got the grandstands lined, and they don't want the public involved in what's going on in the field.
Has Charlton had enough?
Well, he's gone 10 rounds. He ought to be finished.
He lost to the fire extinguisher. Maybe he'll do better today.
This has been a doozy.
It'll be interesting to see how many people are thrown out.
I haven't quite seen one last this long.
It's the worst brawl I've seen.
There have been a lot of individual battles in this one.
Tackett is bleeding. Williamson is bleeding. Just hope that no one is seriously injured. Williamson bleeding badly from the nose.
Watch it. Wait a minute.
Wow.
That was a little legitimate baseball right there. You don't often see something like that.
Well, Mike Messina being attended to by trainer Jamie Reed. I wouldn't think he's still in the game.
Well, I'd be surprised if they threw him out because they didn't warn either of the benches when Basio threw behind two of the hitters.
They don't have to warn him. They can just throw him out.
And he could have said he was throwing the ball inside and it got away and hit Hasselman, who earlier hit a home run.
Pretty obvious to me, though, what this was all about. Chris Basio threw at two Orioles and missed. And then Messina drilled Hasselman and touched off one of the worst brawls I've ever seen in some 10 years of broadcasting Major League Baseball. They brought a stretcher onto the field. I don't think it's needed. Jeff Tackett being worked on by Jamie Reed.
Hey, Mel, the only thing I can tell you right now, Davey Lopes told me that Johnny Oates took a punch in the mouth and he's bleeding from inside the mouth. And I think everybody saw Williamson had a bloody nose when he left the dugout here.
Tom, maybe you can find out for me why the police didn't step in and stop it once it got out of hand.
Hey, Mel, I conclude with you. I was yelling at Phil Ferrace, who's like the commanding officer here, why his guys didn't get involved in it. I could not figure out. I was yelling at him like to say, why don't you get in this thing?
Well, maybe when things cool down, you can do some investigative reporting.
I'm going to try to find that out because I thought the police should have stepped in much faster.
No question.
You're 100% right. I think the police were very passé about the whole thing.
It got completely out of control. Well, the umpires are trying to sort things out. Lou Pinella's yelling at some fans who are getting on him. Johnny Oates apparently took a
fan argument on the third base side now with Pinella and a fan.
See, if the police had jumped in right away and gotten this thing under control, would have been much different. Now you've got the fans all riled up. Durwood Merrill, the crew chief, explaining things to Johnny Oates, and we'll see who's in the game and who isn't.
Well, he's trying to explain to Oates who's going to get the penalty minutes here. And I'm not sure it's going to be so easy. You'd have had to have gotten a pen out and a pad of paper and start writing down names.
That's about the worst fight I've seen.
Now this one took longer than the one that took place in Denver when in AAA several years ago. It took 20-25 minutes. This was probably equal to it.
Messina's out there warming up as if he's still in the game.
Well, he should still be in the game. He just hit a man, so what?
It was fairly obvious that he was throwing at Hasselman.
Oh, I don't know. Fairly obvious that Basio threw behind two guys, too.
Pinella wants to know why is Messina still in the game.
Well, I can tell him he threw a fastball up and in and he hit the batter. He didn't prompt the altercation. The guy that went to the mound did.
Pinella's upset. He wants Messina ejected.
And I can understand his frustrations and bitterness.
Well, Messina, I wonder if he is all right. He was right down there in the middle of it. Here's what happened. Messina hitting Bill Hasselman, who charged the mound. Tackett tried to get to Hasselman, but he took Messina down, and then everybody piles on. And this thing, I don't know how long it took to finally end it. It seemed like about 20 minutes.
You got several hundred pounds on top of that pile, too. That compounds it.
Now Pinella's furious. He's out of the game. He threw down his hat, kicks the dirt. He's mad because Messina hasn't been thrown out, and he's putting on a show.
If you bought a ticket today, you got your money's worth.
You got that right.
Home runs, great pitching, a bench-clearing brawl, and now Lou Piniella has exploded.
Ordinarily, it's automatic. The pitcher's gone, but it's not so easy for the umpire.
You know, I can't get inside the umpires' minds, but maybe they're saying, now look, it was fairly obvious Bosio was throwing at people. We didn't do anything to him, so how can you expect us to throw Messina out?
The perfect rationalization.
Let's go down to Tom at ringside.
Well, Mel and John, I think John Hirschbeck, one of the umpires, the first base umpires, also got a gash underneath one of his eyes. I've seen that up close. He was in there trying to break things up, and I noticed that when he was walking back over to Hooks Merrill there. So some of the umpires were involved trying to break the thing up, but still, I can't figure out what took the police. All they were doing was looking at crowd control and weren't even attempting to settle anything here on the field.
Well, usually these things are handled between the ball players and the umpires.
See John Hirschbeck sporting a mouse under his eye. He tries to calm Piniella down. I wonder if they're going to be able to continue. I mean, who's to say this is not going to break out again? This thing may not be over.
Johnny Oates had kept Dellin Mills as the man in waiting behind the mound, but Oates' motion Mills off the mound now, and Messina's going to continue.
So Mills heading to the dugout.
Got a couple of good right crosses in on Jay Buhner.
I wonder who's been thrown out. To my way of thinking, Norm Charlton should be kicked out of the game because when they were trying to get things under control, he kept getting into it and starting new fights. Piniella has been ejected. We know that for sure.
Well,
Lou's still not finished.
I'm not sure what round this would be. The 7th, 8th round? It's not over.
So a disgusted Lou Piniella finally leaves.
Well, all of this, Mel, has added to the frustration. The Mariners coming in here, losing the first 2 games in the fashion that they did, and then falling behind 5-1. It's prompted a lot of this.
Well, I'm sure both teams have been told now that any more of this and the pitchers will be gone. But this is by far the worst bean brawl incident I've seen broadcasting Major League Baseball. You go back a little further than I do as a player, but now we're getting the list of those ejected. Now this is a replay, so don't get excited. But the penalty box is full. For the Orioles, Alan Mills, Rick Sutcliffe, and David Segui have all been thrown out of the game. Lou Piniella was ejected.
This game
Bill Hasselman
is being played under protest
Mackie Sasser,
by
Chris
manager
Bosio,
Lou Piniella.
and Norm Charlton have all been thrown out for Seattle. And we're just getting the announcement that the Mariners are protesting this game. So the game is being played under protest. So what's the count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people thrown out of the game. People. 5 Mariners and 3 Orioles are gone.
Dave Valley.
There's Messina right down in the middle of it in the left corner. Being a bright Stanford grad, wisely got out of there as soon as he could.
Absolutely. You want to stay in the perimeter of those kinds of brawls.
Well, Dave Valley has replaced Hasselman, who was hit by a pitch, so Valley is running at first.
Well, you can understand Hasselman's interest in wanting to provoke something like that because that pitch come up and in right under his chin and hit him in the shoulder.
You just hope that this is the end of it, and it may not be. Because as hot-tempered as Lou Piniella is, the next time the Orioles come up, it wouldn't be surprising to see his pitcher throw at somebody. Lee Elia has taken over the Mariners with Piniella being ejected.
get all the names straight now and find out who's in the game and who's not in the game. Derwood Merrill has that list, and we gave it to you.
A day at the ballpark we'll never forget. Norm Charlton is on the phone calling the hospital for medical attention. He's out of the game. Calling somebody in the bullpen, it looks like. Just hope this thing is finally under control. Johnny Oates and Derwood Merrill talking things over. And now, rather than Dave Valley going into run, it'll be Henry Cotto. So Cotto is running at first. Let's again go to Tom.
Mel, the one thing I know for a fact is Johnny Oates is definitely hurting around his left hip or the small of his back. You can see with the hand where he's rubbing himself. He also was cut inside the mouth with a punch thrown there. And I know that Alan Mills, I think you reported who's been thrown out, but Mills definitely left the dugout and went to the clubhouse. I think you said Sutcliffe and Segui also were thrown out. And it looks like Hooks Merrill is going from dugout to dugout to find, to alert everybody who's been thrown out of the game. They're just making adjustments here to the lineup cards. But you can tell everything is still not settled here on the field.
The umpires have done their best to straighten this mess out.
I still can't believe that they were left to stop the fight between two teams.
I'll guarantee you that the police were more concerned with crowd control than they were with the skirmish on the field.
But why couldn't some of them have gotten involved in trying to stop the fights that continued to break out? Tom, maybe you can talk to one of the policemen and find out.
Trouble is, no, I can't leave the booth here where I am right now. I'll find out at the end of an inning.
We don't want you to get thrown out. Phil Ferrace, who's in charge of security out here, and has done a terrific job for many, many years. I can only assume that was their primary consideration, to keep the fans off the field.
Absolutely.
Because then it would have gotten totally out of control. There may not have just been enough security people and policemen to do both. Keep the fans from getting on the field and to stop the combatants. It's Jay Buhner.
Jay can take a punch because I saw him get clipped at least twice.
He was among those who were not thrown out of the game. And here's again some of the action. Norm Charlton just wouldn't give up. Arthur Rhodes popped him. Rhodes is on the disabled list, and that set it off again. It seemed to me that there were like 4 or 5 different fights that broke out. Just one that would be seemingly under control, another fight would break out. Well, now the Mariners make another change. First, Dave Valley went out to run, then he came in and Cotto went to first, and now Valley is back out there.
Well, they didn't want any more misadventures with Cotto out there on the bases.
So Mike Messina is still in the game despite hitting Bill Hasselman. The Orioles lead 5-1. We're in the top of the 7th inning with 2 outs. And Rich Amaral is a hitter. His order has finally been restored, we think. But I wouldn't go anywhere.
Gosh, I hope he's not wild inside.
Okay, he's going to do that.
Ball 1. You would think it'd be very difficult for Mike Messina to regain his composure after a fight like that. He's pitched brilliantly again this afternoon. Popped up on the right side. Paul Carey battling the sun and foul ground. He drops the ball. He'll be charged with an error. See, the policemen are in the Seattle dugout.
This out occurred right now when it should, that would have lent some calm to this game, but as you mentioned, Mel, right up there in the middle of that sun.
I don't mean to be overly critical of the police. I'm sure there are certain duties that are assigned in the event of something like this, but it just seemed that they were rather remiss in getting out there. Usually those balls calm down after a while, but that one just went on and on. 2 balls, 1 strike to Amaral. The police know their jobs better than I do. it was very frightening to see the fighting continuing and seemingly unable to be stopped. Foul ball, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes to Emerald. First base, 2 outs. The Orioles lead 5-1. That brawl lasted for 20 minutes. Strike 3 call. So Mike Messina regains his composure and strikes out Rich Amaral. We go to the bottom of the 7th in a wild and woolly game with the Orioles ahead 5-1.
Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its smooth draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
The greatest man alive. But now I'm a man way past 21.
Well, welcome back to Camden Yards. Jeff Tackett is being attended to right now in the Orioles dugout by Jamie, one of the Orioles trainers. He's trying to put a little something on the right side of his cheekbone there. Of course, the toll right now that I can find out is that Mark Williamson was cut on the nose and is bleeding from the nose. He went back into the trainer's room. Johnny Oates, I know, was hit in the mouth, was bleeding from inside the mouth. In addition to that, apparently he hurt the back part of his left hip or in the left back area. He was holding that throughout the entire conversation they had out there on the playing field. There's something, as Mel mentioned, I could not believe for the number of times that the fight continued to break out from side to side, from as far away as the Seattle dugout all the way over to the Orioles dugout. I could not believe that the Baltimore police did not try to get involved and break anything up. I know their main objective here is the crowd control, not having people flying out onto the ground here from the seats. But I tell you what, it got to the point where I don't think anybody could control it for about 5 minutes there. And realistically, you know, a lot of guys are hurting from the Orioles. I mean, with Williamson with the injured nose, Johnny Oates, the Orioles manager, he was on his knees for quite some time. I don't know how often the camera got a shot of him, but for a while he just stood there, or actually stayed on his knees out to the left of the pitcher's mound. The other thing is, it didn't seem like Mike Messina was the least bit flappable with the entire situation. I mean, all he did was dust himself off and got the rest of the side out. It was just something that I've never seen go on for as long as it did in a baseball game ever here in Baltimore. Let's go back upstairs now to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein.
All right, Tom, a 20-minute brawl with 8 ejections. The Mariners bring a new pitcher into the game in the 7th inning. It'll be interesting to see what happens now. Will Lupinella have Dwayne Henry retaliate?
No.
Of course, the Mariners got it started with Bosio throwing at 2 Orioles. Henry almost got hit by a teammate. Edgar Martinez threw him the ball and he wasn't looking.
Well, the prerequisite usually isn't that you've got to be able to take a punch to play baseball, but that would have come in handy here this afternoon.
Unbelievable. So Bosio is finished after 6 innings of work, 6 eventful innings. He gave up 5 runs on 10 hits, walked 2, struck out 6, gave up 2 home runs, threw a wild pitch, and had a hand in touching off one of the worst balls I've ever seen. Cal Ripken steps in against Henry. Ball 1. Cal was struck out, grounded out, singled and scored. Strike. We'll be talking about this one for a long time.
Well, if you've seen this game, you've been entertained this afternoon. As unflappable as a man can be who's in the middle of all that.
And you know, you can't fault Mike Messina for throwing to one of the Mariners, or hitting him actually, because it was pretty obvious that Bosio threw at both McLemore and Reynolds.
Well, the thing that upset the Mariners was that pitch come up a little high, and Bosio's were down around the legs, and so that got Hasselman excited right from the get-go. Can't blame him, that's for sure.
2-2 to count. is frightening to see that sort of thing break out. Beanball battles have been part of the game, but when it almost refuses to stop, it's very scary.
It's more frightening if they have sticks and knives. They don't have that on the field. Which is one of the reasons why the police are less compelled to get involved. Concerned with crowd control.
But if you're out on the street or if you're at a movie theater and a brawl breaks out, the police are going to come and they're going to stop it. What's the difference if it breaks out on the field? You got guys popping each other. You got a chance that fans could stream onto the field and could escalate the incident. So why didn't they get involved?
That's why they line the stands.
Cal Ripken strikes out on a high heater by Dwayne Henry.
Well, this guy can get it up there, I'll tell you that. He can flat out smoke it up to the plate. And this got a trail behind it. That one did.
Here's Harold Baines, who hit a 2-run homer his last time up. His first home run of the year. Strike one.
And Bosio had been working him away all afternoon long and then laid that fastball over the inside part of the plate, and Baines lost it. Not where Chris wanted to throw the ball, obviously.
Ground ball to the second baseman, Rich Amaral. He throws out Baines for the second out. I do about 6 or 7 boxing events a year. I knew that would come in handy.
I know, you were excited.
Here's Mike Devereaux, who has hit a 2-run homer and grounded out twice. 5-1 Orioles, bottom of the 7th. Strike one. Dwayne Henry was purchased from the Cincinnati Reds April the 13th. He is throwing some severe heat. 0-2.
Well, that's his specialty. Coming out of the bullpen, all you have to have is 2 pitches, usually a fastball and a slider, but if you've got his kind of velocity, maybe that's the only pitch you do need.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Henry has not pitched particularly well in the past. He's given up 28 in the 3rd innings. He's given up 35 hits, 4 home runs. The league is hitting .310 against him.
But he's pumped this afternoon.
Wonder why.
Adrenaline is flowing.
2-2. That's just what we need.
Yeah, the Air National Guard.
High fly ball to right. Buhner moving toward the line. And he makes the catch for the 3rd out as the Orioles go in order. The end of 7. It's the Orioles 5, the Mariners 1.
Genuine Draft Rusty Wallace stock car. See it. Hear it. Feel it. Catch it if you can.
When you buy a ticket for 5 consecutive Match 5 drawings, you get a 6th drawing free. Now through June 20th. Oh, yeah.
Ben Franklin, please. This is Agent. Benji, baby. Of course I got your message. I can't afford to miss messages, especially yours. You're my #1 client, Ben. George, sit. Yeah, that's why I have answer call here at the house, Ben. Yeah, I get my messages through the phone. It even takes them while I'm on the phone. You should get answer call, too. Trust me, Ben. Who got your picture on the $100 bill?
George, love you.
Answer call from C&P Telephone. Call now and save on the service connection.
The Roy Rogers game summary. A 20-minute brawl breaking out. 8 people rejected. 5 Mariners, 3 Orioles. Before that, Mike Devereaux and Harold Baines hit 2-run homers for the Orioles. Mike Messina on his way to his 8th win. He's allowed only 5 hits so far. The Orioles lead 5-1 as Messina faces the top of the order in the 8th as Omar Vizquel leads off. Vizquel has singled twice and struck out.
It's been as entertaining an afternoon as you'll see coming to the ballpark.
To Vizquel. Mike Messina's allowed 1 run on 5 hits, walked 1 and struck out 6, and also hit a batter.
And they say ball players are not entertainers. Well, that's ridiculous. Of course they are.
2-1. Is that the worst brawl you've seen in the major leagues?
Oh, sure. It's become such a gentleman's game over the years that players take offense to being thrown at. And of course, you can understand Hasselman's approach. He didn't want to be thrown at. That's why he charged them out. Usually, you're not involved in too many like that. Maybe 1 or 2 during a career. That was a beauty. But all things were leading up to it.
Struck him out. The fight has not seemed to bother Mike Messina. He regrouped quickly, struck out Rich Amaral right after the fight, and now fans Vizquel.
No, he quickly refocused his attentions on these hitters.
And that'll bring up Riddick Bowe. No, it's Mike Felder. Cleveland when that brawl broke out between Texas and Cleveland on what, nickel beer night?
Yeah, and that was one where the fans did get involved. And the seats come flying down out of the stands.
Because most of them were tanked to the gills.
Right, that's right.
Drinking that cheap beer.
Exactly.
In fact, that ended those types of promotions forever.
Yes, it did.
Jim Poole was throwing in the bullpen.
And no longer can you find a glass of 10-cent beer.
Was it 10 cents?
10 cents anywhere. Yeah, we had to forfeit that game.
What got that one started? Remember? What touched it off?
People were running across the field because they were soused. And then they start talking to the right fielder, and the right fielder kicked one of them in the rear end to get him off the field, and that was it. And so we were going out there to protect, I think it was the Texas Ranger ball club that was out there. We were going out there to protect them. And then everyone just come on the field and start pummeling everyone. It's very nasty. So that's what the police had in mind right here. Their main objective, primary objective, was to keep these people in their seats. That little brawl out there will take care of itself.
Well, who stopped the one in Cleveland?
I'm not sure it ever stopped.
It might still be going on. Ball 4.
I think
the second time that Felder has walked.
Both teams left the field in that one after a time, and that lasted 35, 40 minutes. And usually the fans were left out on the field, and they just turned the lights on and closed the park up.
You know, I agree that some of the police should have been concerned with crowd control, but I do think it would have been possible to break 4 or 5 of them away. After all, they've got clubs and guns and everything else, and get out there and at least pose a threat to get the thing stopped.
You wanted a couple shots in the air. That might have done it.
I don't think we should go that far. Mike Messina may have injured himself.
Well, really, it's hard to tell what's happened.
Yeah, we're going to get a pitching change. I don't know if he got hurt throwing the baseball or if he got hurt in the brawl. But he took some punches. So Messina is injured. He'll leave the game. Another strong performance. He leaves with a 5-1 lead. And if the Orioles bullpen can hold it, the Orioles will get a sweep. Now it's time for the Bell Atlantic Mobile call to the bullpen.
The metal cylinder is secured and turned in a counterclockwise motion, causing the internal railing to rise and disengage. It's easy to make something as simple as opening a jar complex. The challenge is making the complex simple. But that's what we do at Bell Atlantic Mobile. We take cutting-edge technology and place it comfortably in your hands. Bell Atlantic Mobile. Advanced technology and people who make it mean something.
At the first tickly itch of athlete's foot, Desonex. Do not stall. Desonex intercepts athlete's foot before it turns ugly. killing those grungy fungi before they get cracking and burning. There's a can at the store with your salvation in it. Come get it, or else don't blame Desonex. And for jock itch, Crew-X is the #1 cure. Crew-X kills jock itch fungus.
To soar with eagles, be the best. To win the industry's highest awards for quality, commit to excellence. Provide superior quality products and have the strength to offer them at more than 12,500 locations nationwide. More than any other major brand. Discover for yourself the difference quality can make. Fly with the new superpower.
I told my son, go and play in the yard. Papa said, go and play, you gotta break your stomach, gonna sweat. Gonna slide, slam, hammer, ball. Woo! Just watching those birds, knocking it all over the wall.
You don't need a ball game to go play in the yard. Come to the park for lunch and enjoy Boog's Barbecue, Natty's Ribs, or lunch in the Camden Club. Visit the Coca-Cola All-Star Week Preview Center or take a tour of the park and see for yourself why Camden Yards means more than just baseball.
Play in the yard!
Jim Poole takes over for Mike Messina, who apparently is injured. And you have to think that something was bothering him before he took them out in that inning, because the Orioles already had Poole up in the bullpen. And then when Messina walked Felder, Poole came in. And I also found it interesting that Dick Bosman went out to make the pitching change rather than Johnny Oates. Oates was apparently injured in that brawl and is still in the dugout.
It looked like Oates took a knee to the kidneys, and he didn't want to come out. He's not feeling too well.
Ken Griffey Jr. bounces one up the middle into center field for a base hit, and Felder's on his way to third.
I'll tell you, Messina got a standing ovation when he left the field going 7+ rounds here this afternoon, and now the Orioles bullpen gets the duty of bringing this one home. But you keep in mind, the Orioles pulled some late inning heroics to win the first 2 games in this series in dramatic fashion, and now the M's want to do that too.
There's Messina, who went 7 1/3 innings, allowing 1 run on 5 hits. He walked 2 and struck out 7. Gave up a home run and hit Bill Hasselman, which emptied both dugouts, both bullpens, and set off one of the wildest bench-clearing brawls we've ever seen. Edgar Martinez up with runners at first and third. Ball 1. Tom?
No, as far as we can find out, Messina was not hurt. He's still sitting on the bench, as you could see just a moment ago, and I just had a chance to ask Davey Lopes, and he said, no, he's not hurt as far as he knows.
What a surprising move, then. He'd thrown 113 pitches. He'd struck out 4 of the previous 5 batters he'd faced before the walk, so it didn't appear that he'd lost much.
Oh, keep in mind, he got sat on out there on the mound by several hundred pounds. That's not going to feel too well. You get your face pushed into the dirt.
2-1 to Edgar Martinez. Edgar returning to action after missing almost 40 games with a badly pulled left hamstring.
Obviously, both teams feel very uncomfortable as to what has just occurred. It's not something you usually see on a Major League diamond.
Foul, 2-2. Jim Poole is making his second appearance in the series. He worked 2 nights ago in relief of Rick Sutcliffe, went 2/3 of an inning and was perfect.
But you absolutely must stand up for your players and yourself. You can understand Messina coming in on Hasselman. You can understand Hasselman going to the mound. But what you don't often see is a lot of several different floating battles on a field when they do come out. We saw that this afternoon.
3-2, the count to Edgar Martinez.
They would love nothing more than to get up there and make a game out of this.
Griffey is running. And a fly ball to right field. Felder will tag at third as Mark McLemore camps under it and makes the catch. But the Mariners pick up a run, and it's now 5-2 Orioles as Felder scores. Sacrifice fly and a run batted in for Edgar Martinez. The run is charged to Messina, so in 7 1/3 innings he gave up 2 runs.
Well, this is a part of the lineup right here, Mel, that you'd expect this ball club to do some damage. Well, this confrontation right here favors the Orioles more than it does the Mariners.
Griffey draws the throw. Tino Martinez has singled and grounded out twice. Jim Poole has been death for left-handers. They are hitting 160 off of them. In the air to right. Back goes McLemore to make the catch. The Mariners pick up a run on one hit, one left to go to the bottom of the eighth with the Orioles ahead 5-2.
You know, a lot of people think you have to be a pro to shop at Sherwin-Williams. Actually, you just have to want to paint like one. That's why they're having a do-it-yourself sale. Their best-selling A100 exterior flat is only $13.99, and Classic 99 interior flat is just $12.99. It ends June 26th. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you better get going.
Mel, don't throw away that box.
Why not?
Well, if you take the proof of purchase symbol from your box of Whisk Power Scoop and mail it to HTS with a check for $4.95, you can get an Orioles Whisk Power Scoop cap just like mine.
That's all I have to do?
Well, sure. That's right, Orioles fans. Visit any participating retailer and look for this display. Then, mail your order form with proof of purchase from Whisk Power Scoop and $4.95, and you can get your very own hat, too.
Hard as it is to believe, people actually walked away from accidents like these. But before there were seat belts, airbags, child safety seats, or anti-lock brakes, these people wouldn't have had a prayer. Which is why Geico has lobbied for these life-saving technologies for years. You see, we'd like you to be our customer, or somebody's, for a long, long time. Geico, we have only one policy: safety.
Today's contestant in the Pepsi Big Slam Home Run Derby inning is Marjorie Wentz of Hanover, Pennsylvania. If the Orioles hit any home runs during tonight's Pepsi Big Slam inning, Marjorie Wentz will win a case of Pepsi, $100 and 4 tickets to an Orioles home game. To enter the Pepsi Big Slam Home Run Derby inning, send a postcard to the address on your screen. Ken Levine, one of the Mariners announcers, just walked into the booth. John, I thought maybe he was going to take a swing at us.
Oh, it would have popped in good.
Fortunately, it didn't come to that. Leo Gomez leads off the 8th inning against Dwayne Henry, who retired the side in order in the 7th. Strike one.
It's going to take several hours for both of these teams to settle down after so much excitement. Which is one of the reasons why you want to get out most of the major combatants. Because you don't want that lingering irritation on the fringe of this game.
How would you decide who to eject from the game?
That's why I said it was practically impossible. Somewhere along the way, you got to get a pen and a pencil and a pad and start writing names down. And they did.
The only definite candidate, as far as I was concerned, was Norm Charlton, who kept stirring things up. He was one of those thrown out. Greg Olson up in the bullpen. Umpires must have felt like hockey referees. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Leo.
So the only guy that had equipment out there in the field was Jeff Taggart, because he was in full gear.
Henry has really been impressive. He has thrown some severe heat.
He's got a blazer working out there.
That's his second strikeout.
They're fortunate to have acquired his services. Look at some guys who can throw the ball coming out of that bullpen.
Here's Paul Carey, who struck out, singled, and grounded to first. Dwayne Henry's been around for quite a while. He first came up with Texas in 1985. Went over to the National League with the Braves in '89. Pitched for Houston in '91. The Reds last year. And now back in the American League. 2-0, the count to Carey, who just missed his first major league homer his first time up as he pulled a Chris Bosio pitch foul down the right field line. 2-1.
You talk about hockey. Paul's brother Jim, as we mentioned, the Washington Capitals' second pick last year in the draft. He's also a goalie at the University of Wisconsin and a possible goalie in the U.S. Olympic team.
The count to Carey. And he walked it. The first base runner that Dwayne Henry has allowed. And it'll bring up Harold Reynolds. Henry for the Reds last year appeared in 60 games, all in relief. 1-3, lost 3. His numbers were excellent. In 83 and 2/3 innings, he gave up only 59 hits, but he walked 44. Reynolds was 2 for 3 against Chris Bosio, facing the hard-throwing Henry. Time called as Dave Valley heads out to the mound.
Henry might be one of those pitchers whose strength you want to exploit for about 3 innings tops. With him coming in the 7th inning, it works out just about right for him. The results of the war. Some of the residue hanging around.
Jeff Tackett was in the middle of it.
Yes, he was.
Up the middle, base hit. Harold Reynolds' 3rd hit of the game. The Orioles have runners at first and second with 1 out in the 8th. And Rocky coming up. Jeff Tackett. You know, when that fight broke out, I don't think Randy Johnson ever went out there. Looked over at the Mariner dugout, and he was standing by himself. Tallest player on the field.
Easy target.
Mentioned he's a photographer. I'm surprised he didn't run and get his camera. Big swing by Tackett. It's 0-1. Jeff has singled, walked, and struck out. There'll be some serious fines handed out as a result of this brawl, too. Henry handcuffing Tackett with a fastball in his fist, and it's 0-2.
I think it's probably a good idea that Johnson stayed in the dugout when that started.
Dennis Powell throwing in the Seattle bullpen. Strike 3.
He got a little movement on his ball, too. Watch this one come over and catch the outside part of that play. That was a zipper.
3rd strikeout for Dwayne Henry. Tackett with a mouse under his right eye. Johnny Oates was shaken up. Sammy Ellis coming out to the mound. With Brady Anderson, a left-hand hitter, coming up, it looks like they're going to bring in Dennis Powell. I don't know why. Henry's throwing pretty well.
That's right. I don't know why he'd make a move right here. As hard as he's throwing, of course, Ellis is the acting manager right now, but ordinarily these decisions come from Lou Piniella.
So Dennis Powell gets the call, and we'll return to Oriole Park with the Orioles leading 5-2 in the 8th.
Ben Franklin, please. It's his agent. Benji, baby. Of course I got your message. I can't afford to miss messages, especially yours. You're my #1 client, Ben. George, sit. Yeah, that's why I have answer call here at the house, Ben. Yeah, I get my messages through the phone. It even takes them while I'm on the phone. You should get answer call, too. Trust me, Ben. Who got your picture on the $100 bill? George, love you.
Answer call from C&P Telephone. Call now and save on the service connection.
Doing it wet, doing it hot. Everybody's doing it, doing it. Everybody's doing it. See now. Everybody's doing it. See now. Doing it with your buddies, with your honey, with the crew. It's you. Everybody's doing it. See now. See you.
First, Roy Rogers introduced their juicy bacon cheeseburger on sourdough bread. Then they introduced Roy's real roast beef on sourdough bread. And now there's Roy's great tasting sourdough grilled chicken sandwich with Monterey Jack cheese and Hellman's Dijonnaise. Yep, looks like Roy's sandwiches are really on a roll.
I thought you said they were on sourdough bread.
I did.
He said roll.
Yeah, roll.
That's what he said. You see that? I was right.
Roll bread.
What do you mean roll bread? There's no such thing as a roll.
Roy Rogers.
Welcome back to ringside. Oriole Park at Camden Yards. The Orioles leading 5-2 in the 8th as Dennis Powell comes on with 2 outs to face Brady Anderson.
Well, the Mariners cannot afford the luxury of allowing any more runs, so they go for the percentage move here and bringing in Powell to face the left-handed Anderson.
Powell has been pitching very well. He's retired the last 15 batters he's faced.
Which is why Sammy Ellis, acting for Lou Piniella, brings in Powell in this particular situation. The Mariners know their bullpen better than anybody else.
Powell has an above-average fastball, a decent slider and curve. They'll face Brady Anderson with runners at first and second and 2 outs in the 8th. Brady is 1 for 4. He doubled his last time up. Strike 1. Originally in the Dodgers organization. He's been with Seattle since 1987. Bounced back and forth from the minor leagues to the big leagues. Last year was in the big leagues the entire year, appearing in 49 games. 1-1. Tom?
All right, now from what I've been told, Mike Messina's back in the clubhouse having his arm iced down, and he is not hurt at all.
A little surprising that he came out of the game then, isn't it? Throw to second base by Valley, and he throws it into center field. But no advance by Paul Carey, who was slow to get up. It's difficult to get up quickly when you have that big number on your back, 88. It weighs twice as much as a regular number. He also inherited Rene Gonzalez's speed. That's Gonzo's old number. Strike call, 2-2.
Yeah, with Messina coming out, sometimes you can get hit by a car and not show any visible signs of distress. Mike was out there a long time and pitching under an extreme stress on the mound, so it was a good move just to get him out of there. Somebody else tried to win the game.
2 balls, 2 strikes, the count to Brady. To the shortstop is Cal, and he throws him out to end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. The end of 8, the Orioles lead 5-2.
This good shouldn't be kept all bottled up. For great taste that's less filling, Miller Lite. It's everything you want a beer to be.
First, Roy Rogers introduced their juicy bacon cheeseburger on sourdough bread. Then they introduced Roy's real roast beef on sourdough bread. And now there's Roy's great tasting sourdough grilled chicken sandwich with Monterey Jack cheese and Hellman's Dijonnaise. Yep, looks like Roy's sandwiches are really on a roll.
I thought you said they were on sourdough bread.
I did.
He said roll.
Yeah, roll.
That's what he said. You see that? I was right.
Roll bread.
What do you mean roll bread? There's no such thing as a roll.
Roy Rogers.
Introducing the new Subaru Impreza Hill Holder. You'll find it on all of our manual transmissions. At the moment, the brake is on, so the wheel isn't moving. The brake is now being released. The new Impreza is out of gear, and the wheel still hasn't moved. It's not often a car can impress you simply by standing still. The new Subaru Impreza. It's not just another new car.
Special introductory price offer starting under $11,000.
Another look at the bench-clearing brawl, which was touched off in the 7th inning when Mike Messina hit Bill Hasselman, who charged the mound and set off a 20-minute brawl leading to 8 ejections. Now, we've received word from the police as to why they didn't try to get this stopped. Apparently, the police have to take their cue from the umpires, and we were told that 5 or 6 times the police asked the umpires and the crew chief, Durwood Merrill, if they should go out and try to break up the brawl, and were told no. Let the players settle it among themselves, and the police concern themselves with crowd control. So that's why the police never got involved. And I said I wasn't trying to be critical of police, but I do feel somebody was remiss in this situation because it took way too long to get things under control. I think the umpires, if that's the way they work, the umpires should have said, yes, we need help, because it was obvious that they couldn't get the thing stopped. Greg Olson comes on to work the 9th inning. How do you feel about all this, John?
I think the umpires were right. I wouldn't want the police out there either. And I think you're correct, too. And I mean, if they're carrying weapons out there, then the police get involved. But their primary objective is keeping the people in the stands and in their seats.
I just think it took way too long to get it under control.
But did it not provide good TV?
0-2 the count to Jay Buhner.
As entertaining and interesting an episode as you'll see in the Major League Diamond. It's a sideshow. It's a subplot to the game.
Well, hopefully no one was hurt seriously. There were a few scrapes and bloody noses and things of that nature. But it made for a wild afternoon.
Well, these are professional baseball players. They're not boxers. This will be forgotten.
Maybe not.
Right.
It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. It'll be interesting to see what happened the next time these teams get together.
Well, the Mariners get their last shot right here at trying to win this bout here this afternoon.
Struck him out.
A decidedly difficult pitch to try to control with that bat, and thrown in an impossibly difficult position to try to do anything with it.
Pete O'Brien comes up as a pinch hitter, hitting for Henry Cotto. This is a save situation for Greg Olson. Ball 1. Strike. I was critical of the police for not taking part in stopping the brawl. Maybe the blame should have been shifted to the umpires for not requesting the help. But whoever should take the blame, if anyone, I just think it's a situation that should have been stopped long before it was. The brawl lasted 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're right. The players ordinarily police themselves, and the length of that little brawl lasted longer than anticipated.
Tom will be at ringside for some post-bout interviews. After the game. 2 balls, 2 strikes to O'Brien. Now, I realize the police have a very difficult job. We've got 46,000 people here to worry about coming onto the field. Breaking ball misses inside and it's 3-2. Well, fortunately nobody was seriously hurt.
That's right.
Things are under control, and if the Orioles win, it'll be a happy day.
I'm telling you, both ball clubs did a good job in expressing their emotions on the field for those 20 minutes. Venting a lot of frustrations.
Grounded foul. Are you scoring at ringside, or what's your scorecard?
I'd score it even.
A draw.
That's right.
Some long faces in that Seattle dugout as they're on the verge of being swept.
And this is one of the prelims of the Morrison-Foreman fight tomorrow. This will probably get greater coverage. That's right, and it's not pay-per-view.
These teams meet again in Seattle in August. We understand HBO will televise. 2 down as Harold Reynolds makes the play on O'Brien. So the Orioles are 1 out away from sweeping the Seattle Mariners and winning their 4th straight game, which would be their longest win streak of the year. Dave Valley, the catcher, comes up for the first time. Greg Olson picked up a save last night with a scoreless inning. Ground ball fair down the left field line. Valley, a very slow runner, trying to get to second base, and does. So a 2-out double by Valley keeps the Mariners' hopes alive.
Well, the ship hasn't been sunk yet. Boy, he clipped this one right down the third baseline nicely, right on top of the white chalk mark, just as it bounces over the base. Tough to get a hold of one of those Greg Olson breaking balls, but Valley did.
2 down, Valley at second base. Rich Amaral coming up. He's 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts this afternoon. Ball 1. Strike, Amaral. Greg Olson has converted 12 saves and 15 save opportunities.
Well, that's his specialty, putting an end to any kind of uprising whatsoever.
2-1.
All the Mariners want is another runner on base to give them a legitimate shot.
Olson came in last night, retired all 3 batters he faced. It was only the 2nd time this year that he's had a 1-2-3 inning. And he goes 3-1 to Amaral. Well, if he puts him on, that'll bring the tying run to the plate.
Johnny Oates is not looking to the bullpen for any help. He's got the master right out there on the mound right now. Whether he does it or no one does it.
Ground ball foul, and it's 3-2, and the Mariners are down to their last strike. Sam Mejias, the first base coach, flipping the ball to the fan. Nice gesture, particularly in light of what's happened today.
What else did you expect? If he'd have put it in his back pocket, he'd have been booed off the field.
Amaral going to the pine tar rag. The fans are on their feet. 46,296. Another sellout crowd turned out this afternoon and saw one of the wildest games in Oriole history. Fly ball, right field. McLemore closing in, and the Orioles have swept the Mariners. Well, the Orioles win all 3 games, taking the opener 6-5 in 10 innings, winning last night 5-3, and winning today 5-2 in a game that saw a 20-minute bench-clearing brawl. The totals for the Orioles: 5 runs, 11 hits, 1 error, and 8 left. For Seattle, 2 runs, 7 hits, no errors, and 7 left. Mike Messina gets the win, improving his record to 8-2. He's now tied with Jack McDowell of the White Sox for the league lead in victories. Greg Olson picks up his 13th save, and Chris Bosio takes the loss. He's now 2-3.
Well, the fight was a draw, but the game and series went to the Orioles, and the Mariners, leave town in a ship full of holes.
The Orioles with an opportunity to perhaps move into 5th place.
49 years ago today, Mel, the Normandy invasion. We saw that on the field here for 20 minutes.
If Milwaukee loses at Kansas City, the Orioles will be in 5th place in the American League East. The Brewers are leading the Royals 7-6 in the 6th inning of that game. But this is a day we'll never forget. As Chris Bosio threw it, Mark McLemore and Harold Reynolds, Mike Messina retaliated, hitting Bill Hasselman, touched off a bench-clearing brawl that lasted for 20 minutes and saw 8 people ejected. Tom Davis is standing by with Johnny Oates, who is in the middle of it.
First off, Johnny, the obvious question has to be about what inspired here on the field. I mean, first off, your physical condition. I mean, you look like you were hurt.
I'm sure. I'm too old to be out there. Those kids, they're squalling at each other. But I'm past that. I'm trying to break it up. Old body don't bend like it used to. That's just part of the game.
I know you were holding your side for most of the rest of the game. I mean, did you get hurt?
Well, I'm okay. I'm okay. You know, you need to pile like that sometimes, and you get an old body, it twists a little bit. So
why did it last so long? I mean, why? Obviously, you know, you could see it happen. It lasted and lasted and lasted.
I don't know. You know, just a little breakouts all over the place. You know, we had a few guys that got a little upset, and they had a few guys, and when those happen, you're going to have reactions like that.
They're asking us to move up the step just if we can because we got some mic problems here. But what about now? It looked like Charlton kept the thing going more than any other play.
Well, I'm trying to watch my back, and I don't know who's keeping it going. So I don't know. I just don't want any one of our guys to get hurt, and I certainly don't want to get it from the back.
How about Messina's condition? I mean, when you took him out, was it just a matchup move where you were bringing Poole?
No, you know, he got out of the inning before, and I didn't think he threw any of those pitches well in that inning. And Michael usually confide better in Boz as to how his physical condition is than he will me, because he wants to always tell me I'm okay. So I send Boz out to Boz, if he's not okay, go ahead and bring Pooley in. And I could almost tell that he's going to say okay. As soon as the guy got on, he turned around and looked in the dugout, and that's a pretty good indication he didn't have enough.
Do you think he was injured in the fight?
I don't know. I haven't really talked to him at it. He certainly looked a little stiff, and when you get into something like that, you end up coming out of it with a lot of stiff muscles, because they put muscles in positions that you've never seen before.
Talk a little bit about the game for a moment. I mean, Baines finally hits a home run in this ballpark. You had to be happy about that.
Well, it was due, you know, and we've been waiting for Harold and Devereaux to get back in line, and they both certainly made an impact in the last week or so.
How encouraged are you about this club, the way it's playing out, 4 straight wins?
Well, it's, you know, we're getting some clutch hitting, and difference in the ball club right now than the previous 3 weeks. And when the guys start swinging the bat in the middle of the lineup, we're going to score some runs.
Sure you're okay now?
I'm getting ready to go to dinner.
All right, Johnny Oates, thank you. And we'll be back with more here on HTS in just a moment.
Very simple things I want from a car. I want a car to run good. I want a car to look good. I like words like reliable, dependable, trustworthy, and I want it to look good. Did I say that already? I want a car I can trust. Does that seem like such a terrible thing? So I bought this new Impreza. It's got everything I just said, and it's a Subaru. I've taken care of things all my life, and I don't want to have to take care of a car. I locked my keys in the car.
Safe and courteous drivers could be found all over this country. Today, these drivers are a vanishing breed. But we know you're out there, and we built a car insurance company just for you. Geico, we have only one policy, safety. Its design and performance are unsurpassed. Best of all, it saves up to 40% on energy. It's the high-efficiency Lennox Dimension air conditioner.
Quality, reliability, value. With extensive services, these words are your guarantee of comfort and satisfaction. Allied Phillips meets the same high standards as Lennox equipment. Call them for the very best in service and installation.
For energy savings and comfort, must be a Lennox.
We're back again here at Camden Yards where the Orioles beat the Seattle Mariners by a score of 5-2. Harold Baines connecting for his first home run in this ballpark, a 2-run shot. Mike Devereaux hitting a 2-run homer, but obviously the story of this game was the bench-clearing brawl that lasted somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes, something that the likes of I've never seen ever in connection to Baltimore baseball in this town in the 40 years that this team has played here in Baltimore. It's just unbelievable. Mel and John will be back with some final comments in just a moment.
Introducing the exciting new Subaru Impreza Sport Wagon. All 110 cubic feet of it. That's like the size of 4 sleeping bags, luggage, a 20-pound sack of potatoes, 3 bags of groceries, a portable barbecue, and a family of 4. Hey, everybody needs their own space. The new roomy Impreza Sport Wagon from Subaru. It's not just another new car.
Any professional painter will tell you that if you want results like these, you gotta know the tricks of the trade. You gotta ask Sherwin-Williams. Now these are guys you can trust. They've got good paint, good price, good advice, guaranteed. Want to know something? I didn't paint this house. The guy that lives there did. Hey fella, nice job. This guy knows what the pros know. Ask Sherwin-Williams.
Welcome back to Oriole Park at Camden Yards. The smoke is clear, the sellout crowd on the highway headed home, and this will be a game, an afternoon we'll never forget, as the Orioles have swept the Seattle Mariners 5-2, but the game featuring a bench-clearing brawl that lasted 20 minutes. 8 players, manager Lou Piniella of the Mariners ejected. The Mariners played the game under protest. We've seen it ad nauseum here, but another look. What will be the repercussions of this?
I don't think there's going to be too many repercussions. I think some players are going to get some fines, but this just looked like a good old brawl to me on the baseball diamond. Usually it doesn't take 20 minutes to come to a halt, but we've seen that happen here this afternoon. I think both ball clubs nicely vented their frustrations and got it out of the way. There's not going to be any after effects after this.
You mentioned these teams meet again in August at the Kingdome in Seattle. Will this be forgotten by then?
Oh, I think so. I think these things are forgotten a week after they happened, if not several hours.
Putting the brawl aside, it was a very good weekend for the Orioles as they won the final game in Oakland, came back home and got this homestand started by sweeping Seattle.
They've elevated their game a notch, and they've had what looked like middle-of-the-order participation in winning these 3 games. But even more importantly than that, Mel, even though the fight was a draw, they ended up winning 3 games in this series right here, coming in for this 6-game homestand. They had to raise their game up a notch. They did it, and they did it against a tough ball club.
All right, well, that'll do it for this afternoon. Again, our final score is the Orioles 5 and the Seattle Mariners 2. Being restrained. HTS coverage of Orioles baseball was brought to you by Miller Lite. It's everything you want a beer to be. By Subaru. Test drive the all-new Subaru Impreza. By Safeway. Nobody does it better. By Jeep and Eagle. See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer where you can expect the best. By Diet Pepsi with 100% AHA. You got the right one, baby. AHA. By your local Sherwin-Williams paint stores, a participating sponsor of Major League Baseball. The pros know. Ask Sherwin-Williams. By Bell Atlantic Mobile, advanced technology and people who make it mean something. And by Whisk. No other detergent fights toughest stains like Whisk. Orioles baseball returns to HTS tomorrow night at 7:30 when the Orioles and the Oakland A's begin their 3-game series. The evening gets underway at 7 o'clock with a Rolling Rock Orioles report hosted by Tom Davis. The executive producer of HTS is Jody Shapiro. Our director of production is Bill Brown. Today's game was produced by Chris Glass, directed by Sheldon Schemmer. Our pregame producer has been Sam Green. And our technical director, John Niehaus. Johnny Oates will receive a gift certificate for the Orioles Bar in the Sheraton Inner Harbor Hotel. This is Mel Proctor for John Lowenstein and Tom Davis saying so long from Oriole Park at Camden Yards, where again our final score, the Orioles by a TKO over Seattle, 5-2. Orioles baseball is a presentation of HTS. Stay tuned for the Rolling Rock wrap-up hosted by Tom Davis.
watching HTS. The Orioles kick off a 3-game series against Oakland tomorrow night at 7:30. The road to soccer's World Cup '94 begins here on HTS. The premier players, the powerhouse teams, the potential upsets. Follow the road to World Cup '94 on HTS. The U.S. World Team, they can put the ball in the goal. They can keep it out of the goal. Now, a major test against mighty Brazil. Sunday night at 7, only on HTS. O's keys to victory against the A's.
McGuire and Steinbach are threats. Deal with them accordingly.
O's A's, Monday night at 7:30 on HTS.
Ladies golf superstars tee it up at Walnut Hill. The tour's top attractions make this year's field tougher than ever. The 1993 LPGA Oldsmobile Classic.
Final round coverage today at 5 on HTS.
Get on the fast track with the best in racing. NASCAR, Indy, NHRA, World Grand Prix, EMA Superbike, Motocross, USAC, Winston Cup, SCCA, Modified, Worlds of Outlaws, Formula One, Highlight, Preview, and Review shows. All this and more on the fast track to excitement.
Right here on HTS.
HTS presents the Rolling Rock Wrap-Up. HTS's coverage of the Rolling Rock Wrap-Up is being brought to you by Rolling Rock Premium Beer, from the mountain springs to you, same as it ever was. And by Domino's, something for nothing from Domino's Pizza and Subs. Well, welcome back to Camden Yards, where the Orioles just beat the Seattle Mariners, completing a sweep with a 5-2 victory this afternoon. And all I can say is one thing. Welcome back, Tom Davis, your host. This is our 10th season of covering Orioles baseball on HTS. I started my 23rd year as a sportscaster in this town on June the 1st. Never left the town. I'm a native, and I have never, ever seen anything. And all the time that I can go back to the first grade, remembering the Orioles in '54, and I've never seen anything that can match what I saw here on the field today. I mean, I've seen other brawls, but I've never seen anything that lasted so long and continued on in different angles and different directions. I finished speaking with one of the Baltimore City police officers in reference to what Mel and I had been talking about during the telecast in regards to why the police did not get involved in it when the thing kept going on and on and on and lasting nearly 20 minutes. Well, the police's main concern is crowd control. And that really, when you've got 46,000 plus fans here, you don't want them coming onto the field. And that's the main concern, to watch the crowd. The other thing in regards to the action by, say, Norm Charlton, who was involved in 3 different segments that I could at least visually see. I didn't have a monitor to watch it all, but it seemed like Norm Charlton kept the thing going for about 15 minutes himself, personally, from the third base dugout to behind home plate, all the way to over right here in front of the first base dugout. I know Johnny Oates is a lot more hurting than he really let on. I mean, he held his side the entire last 3 innings of the ball game. He was gripping his side. Davey Lopes told me that he was hit in the mouth and was bleeding from inside the mouth. Mark Williamson had a bloody nose for one. I know Rick Sutcliffe and David Segui were tossed out of the game. I also know that Segui and Harold Reynolds had to go back and get new uniform shirts because their shirts were ripped off of them, or at least the front of them. And of course, Jeff Tackett, the Orioles catcher, had a somewhat of a shiner, a cut underneath of his right eye. He rejected some of the trainer's help along the dugout here, because I got a great angle to look into the dugout. Although he was sliced a little bit underneath of the right eye, he stayed into the game. He also had a little bit of ice on him for a while. But it was one of these things that you'll never forget if you were here today. It's something of a memory. And maybe it brought this ballpark of age and brought these fans into the game, because for a long, long time, this has been the deadest place in Baltimore with 46,000 people people watching. But today, not only did it come to life, but two teams wanting to get into a pennant race certainly came to life, and the Orioles won their 4th game in a row and certainly are hoping that they are going to get into the pennant race. They're now 5 games under 500. Let's take a look now at the Washington Post scores. Detroit beating California 11-4, so that means the Orioles will still stay 8.5 games back of the Tigers. The Toronto Blue Jays are not going to be sharing first place because they're losing to Oakland right now 10-3 in the 9th inning. John Olerud hit another home run for Toronto. He has 12 for the year. Minnesota leading Cleveland 5-4 in the 9th inning. Kirby Puckett hit his 8th home run. Milwaukee leading Kansas City 7-6 in the 6th. John Jaha with an RBI single there for the Brewers. Chicago 4, Boston 3. They're now in the 8th inning. The National League scores: Philadelphia, big day for Darren Dalton, 3-run triple. Jim Eisenreich is driven in 3. Philadelphia 11, Colorado 7. Cincinnati is trailing St. Louis 5-1 in the 9th inning. Bernard Gilkey with an RBI single for the Cardinals. Mets getting a home run from Joe Orsulak, his 3rd this season. Mets leading Houston 3-2 in the 6th. Rest of the games are scoreless. Atlanta, Los Angeles in the 2nd. Florida, San Diego also in the 2nd. And Pittsburgh and San Francisco scoreless in the 1st. And the rest of the action is tonight. So that's the Washington Post scores. We'll be back with the play, or actually the incident of the game, when we continue our coverage of the Orioles here on the Rolling Rock Wrap-Up in just a moment.
It was fascination, I know, and it might have ended right then at the start. Just a passing glance, just a brief romance, fascination turned to love.
First, Roy Rogers introduced their juicy bacon cheeseburger on sourdough bread. Then they introduced Roy's real roast beef on sourdough bread. And now there's Roy's great tasting sourdough grilled chicken sandwich with Monterey Jack cheese and Hellman's Dijonnaise. Yep, looks like Roy's sandwiches are really on a roll.
I thought you said they were on sourdough bread.
I did.
He said roll.
Yeah, roll. That's what he said. You see that? I was right.
Roll bread, sourdough.
What do you mean roll bread? There's no such thing as a roll bread.
Roy Rogers.
At Safeway, our Savings Club members love getting free groceries.
Free rice, free milk, free bread.
Free eggs.
Well, I like the idea that I get free food.
I always try to offer things I'd like to get.
Free dinner items, things that have really helped out.
Oh, and on your birthday, you get a free ice cream.
Nobody else gives you free groceries every month. So join the Savings Club today. Stop by any Safeway or just call us.
Oh, yeah, everybody likes getting free groceries.
It's the law. If you're a homeowner or contractor, then you need to know about Miss Utility. With one quick toll-free call, you can have all of the appropriate utilities visit your construction site to determine if there is any danger of hitting underground wires, pipes, or cables. It's the law. You must call Miss Utility at least 48 hours before you do any digging. Call 1-800-257-7777. That's 1-800-257-7777. For safety's sake, call Miss Utility.
Baseball rivalries really don't exist anymore with 162 game seasons and 28 teams. But Seattle may have created a rivalry with the Orioles today as Mike Messina nailed the catcher who earlier hit a home run off of him, and that's Bill Hasselman. You can see Messina go down, and realistically, the simplest form to say is all hell broke loose for 20 minutes here at Camden Yards. And I think the easiest thing to do is just let you watch it for a few seconds. You certainly do not need me talking about it. Just watch, and I won't say enjoy, but if you missed it, you missed a lot. Say is that past Oriole managers like Earl Weaver and the current one, Johnny Oates, have never condoned anything like today. It's one of the reasons why the Orioles have been a team known for really not getting into any type of a brawl like this. But this thing kept going on and on and on. It was an unforgettable moment in Orioles history. We'll be back with the Sherwin-Williams pitching update when we continue from Camden Yards in just a moment.
Experience the pride. For more than 80 years, Carroll Independent Fuel has been a leading supplier of gasoline, fuel oil, and industrial and commercial lubricants to the Baltimore and Washington, D.C. areas. And as the leading supplier to Citgo retail outlets, Carroll Independent continues to offer our best, Citgo Super Premium. So when good just isn't good enough for you, fly with the new Superpower, Citgo.
Completing the rear axle of C diagram set using a 9-inch gripping wrench, tighten the C diagram set to secure the frame extenders to the housing mount. Congratulations, you built a tricycle. While the simplest things can be made complex, the challenge is making the complex simple. But that's what we do at Bell Atlantic Mobile, with straight answers, clear explanations, and with no assembly required. Bell Atlantic Mobile, advanced technology and people who make it mean something.
Mama told me, son, go and play in the yard. Papa said, go and play, you gotta bring your stomach, gonna sweat. Gonna slide, slam, hammer, ball. Woo! Just watching those birds, knocking it all over the wall.
Hey kids, Sunday, June 27th is a great day to go play in the yard. The Orioles take on the New York Yankees, and all youngsters 14 and under receive a free Rookie League magazine, compliments of Fleer baseball cards. So call Ticketmaster today, and the youngsters get a free baseball magazine.
In the yard!
Something to me, something that simply mystifies me, that nobody else could do.
Welcome back to Camden Yards. Time now for the Sherwin-Williams pitching update. The Orioles beating Seattle 5-2. Of course, the battle between the two clubs highlighting the afternoon, but it was a 2-run homer from Harold Baines, 2-run homer from Mike Devereaux that helped the Orioles to the victory. Sherwin-Williams pitching update belongs to Mike Mussina, who recorded his 8th victory, tying him with Jack McDowell for the most wins in the American League. And I'll tell you what, the way Mussina's been going, provided that he's not injured, he could be starting here All-Star night for the American League. So it was an interesting afternoon to say the least. And the only thing I can say is this. The Orioles are coming on strong right now. They have won 4 games in a row, 5 out of their last 6. And they certainly are not out of it now, being 5 games under 500. And it looks like, I hate to say this, but I know a couple of weeks ago doing a show with Boog Powell, Boog